All right, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Great Rank Debate. Sorry we kept you a little waiting, but I promise it will be worth. It will be worth. For those of you unfamiliar with the Great Debates, it's a pretty simple format. I gather a bunch of cool content creators, and we talk about whatever it is we're talking about. So in the past, we've had the Great Tank Debate, Great Support Debate, Great DPS Debate, and the Great Role Debates, where we've talked about just the balancing of certain characters, certain roles, their interplay with each other. Today, we're not going to be so fussed about specific roles. Today, we're talking a little bit more largely about the game itself and specifically the ladder system. So I brought with me some awesome content creators, like promised, from different areas of ranks. So we've got some all the way down from gold to all the way to top 500. We've got the whole spectrum covered. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest today. In the bottom right is Arrge, here to represent Diamond straight through to GM.
Yes, I'm an expert on half of the ranks.
He's really been through it all. In the bottom left, we've got Bame representing bronze through to gold.
What's up, guys? How you doing? How you doing, Bame Gang?
All right, and in the top left, known as SINotFound, but I'll be referring to him as Carrie, here to represent Plat, but also has had some interesting experiences as we all have had. What's up, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. It's going to be awesome, guys. It's going to be awesome. So, like I said, the format, we're just going to kind of talk through all these things that you guys have been chatting about in terms of rank. We're going to get to talking about like the MMR system, whether the rank system is working as intended or not. We're going to talk through like Smurfs and one tricks, all that good stuff you guys are always begging me to cover. And this is one that you guys have requested. You've often said we want to hear from content creators who aren't just top 500, who aren't Overwatch League pros. We want to hear from people who actually play the game like we do. So that's the gang I've assembled today. So first question for you guys, and any of you can choose to answer first. But the first question simply is, what do you think is unique about your rank compared to the other ranks? So who wants to kick us off? Bame, I see your I see your eagerness there.
Sure, I can start. So I think I've had someone in bronze ever since roll Q. So I've got bronze, silver, and I've been in gold a little bit recently. It's kind of like herding cats, right? Like there's people running around all over the damn place. I don't think anyone really knows what they're doing most of the time. You don't really know who you're playing with. It always feels like someone's probably a little bit better than they should be hanging out, and then some really poor players. It's weird. It's tough. Like I mean, I don't use voice chat at all. I don't really communicate with my teammates because I'm more just playing the game to have fun. I know that's a little weird for some people to comprehend, but I play Overwatch. It's very fun, and I try not to let SR dictate my happiness. I like to go out and have fun and play the game. Maybe have a couple of beverages. Maybe be laid back a little bit. Talk with my chat. So maybe I'm not thinking about the game as much as I should be, 100%. But I'm having fun with the game at least. So I think other people are probably doing that too, and other people, of course, are tryharding, right? Like they really want to get gold or plat or whatever else, right? Or I just and also I think the advice you get down there is a little weird too, right? So go ahead. Yeah, I'm talking.
No, I was just gonna say like, so you're basically saying, to kind of summarize that, is that you feel like maybe in bronze and silver and even gold is people are playing more for fun compared to the other ranks where maybe people are tryharding a bit more.
I think playing for fun and also learning too, right? So you probably don't know all the characters. You might not know what all their alts do, for instance, right? But hey, I can play these two guys on DPS, and if one isn't going very well, I'll try the other. And after that, I don't know, I'm kind of out of luck. But I think some of that is there also.
Yeah, absolutely. Carrie, I think I interrupted you actually because you were about to start off. So go on and shift us over to plat. We're going for gold plat.
No, I remember because sometimes I don't join voice chat a lot, and I know people whenever I stream, some people will ask me why aren't you in voice chat? And because most of the time no one talks in voice chat, and I know that obviously people in lower ranks don't do that because they play the game for fun, which is fine. It's still a game, and I have no problem if you want to play for fun. But at least one of the things that and again this is something that we can talk about later with we talked about this earlier before we went live, but my ranked experience. But in Platinum, I feel like more people are toxic, and this isn't a claim I'm trying to make because obviously every rank is toxic. There are toxic people in every rank. But at least in the high plat area, a lot of people are quite frustrated whenever they lose games because at that point you're very close to diamond, and diamond is that's when you transition into the big boy ranks. You get a shiny little icon. You get like it's a step into like a new realm. And so like if you're like 2 games away from diamond and you lose, like you get really mad. And like that's understandable. But it's like at least that's one of the things where it's like Plat almost feels like it's got all the worst parts of like gold and everything below it, but it's just like people are just slightly better. Like it's not. I don't know. It's hard to like characterize it, at least for me, because like it's just like another rank where people just are a bit more toxic because it's so much that it's that much closer to diamond.
Yeah, makes sense. I kind of wish I had the Aladdin music on the soundboard here for like the whole new world that Diamond is entering into. But it was funny because Arrge, it's a whole different world for you when you drop down to Diamond. So go ahead and take over and tell us about the magical world of Diamond and above.
Yeah, well, first I'd like to also add to that Plat is the most toxic place. I feel like it could also be the fact that there's no, like, normally people don't talk in voice to communicate. It's not really like a requirement in Plat to communicate who's low HP or like who is flanking, and that kind of stuff seems to be just irrelevant. So it creates this effect that like most of the time when someone talks in voice chat, it's because they're flaming. Because that's like you don't really care about discussing tactics, but of course, still, if you're gonna get angry, you might wanna flame into voice chat, for example.
Mm. So you feel like the communication in Plat is like, whereas in, for example, in GM, communication is very important because, it's very important to do coordinated things. But in Plat, it's kind of a mess half the time anyway. So people don't even think about talking to coordinate plans. They just only pipe up when everything is going wrong, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Where's the DPS, man? Where's the DPS? Where's the heals? Tanks, do something."
Yeah, exactly. I've played a couple of games in Plat. Like whenever you place on a new account, it's always like the first game is in Plat. It feels like there's nothing happening. It's so quiet. Like in any other rank, there's always shooting and explosions and voice chat, someone screaming. But in Plat, it's just, wait, didn't we kill the enemy team 30 seconds ago? Where are they? And everyone is just like kind of sitting in a corner doing whatever they want. So it really is, there's like a huge contrast in terms of when someone actually starts flaming.
And
Because
the way I think about it, like down where I'm at, like, do I really want these guys' advice? Like, if they had good advice, they'd probably be a little bit better. I don't know, is that terrible to say? Like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I'll go for one game where they'll say, "Oh my god, your ball is awful," and then the next game, like, I'll carry, and it'll go back and forth saying, "Get off your ball," or "Oh my god." Maybe I'll get a compliment once a month or something, but it's like honestly, I just don't care what their opinions are or how to play the game down here. To be honest, is that terrible? Maybe it is. I don't know. It's just how I feel.
No, it
I
makes
think
sense.
it's like the safer option, I'd say. Just to not listen to someone in your own rank to tell you what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carrie, you were chiming in there.
Yeah, well, it's just like I don't know, because a lot of people just like when they talk, I don't know. It's just like when it comes to like comms, because I used to like I don't know, I used to shot call a lot when I was, and I don't know if we want to get to this right now, but like with my
No, you go
journey to
ahead.
rank.
Why don't you go ahead and just
But
spell us out
okay,
your rank journey?
so for context, I started playing the game in season 3, and I remember I placed bronze. Like I placed really high bronze, and so over the course of the next 4 seasons, so it was like over like what, like 8 months or so, 7 months, I managed to climb from bronze to masters, playing nothing but Mercy. And it's like, yeah, I essentially one trick Mercy, and I'm not gonna try like beat around the bush when it comes to that because I basically was, but it's like it. I mean, just because I did doesn't mean it wasn't hard. I mean, doesn't mean it wasn't. It was harder than most people think it was. Like I was shot calling a lot, and I actually learned a lot about like shot calling and how to like track ultimates and all that sort of thing. And like especially for someone like me who was just getting into the game, I learned a lot about how to play it. And so like I remember just I was the only one talking in team chat from bronze, silver, gold, and plat. And then like once I got to diamond, some of the people started to talk a little bit more. I was like, okay, this is nice. I can get around this. And like it's just like I don't know. It's just so difficult seeing people in plat just like not communicate. And it's like, well, and people are still playing the game for fun. Like I get it. Like if you wanna play fucking Zarya, that's fine. Like no one's gonna stop you from not playing Zarya. But it's like if they're Or like if you don't want to play hit scan when they have pharmacy, I can't stop you. Like if you want to play the game for fun, that's fine. Like you're a Plat, you're not like a GM, which makes sense. And it's like there's not much you can do about it, but it's just like I can see why it would be infuriating to some people where it's like we need more heals or we need a hit scan or we need a shield. Some people just don't want to play. Like maybe they just got home from work, they just want to play some hog. Like there's something that can stop them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on an interesting topic there, which we might let's kind of segue over to it, which is that often going into rank, there are different expectations from the players in the same team, right? So some people are playing, as you said, for fun. Other people are playing because they really take the game seriously. They really want a competitive experience. So my question to you guys then is, and again, this might differ based on your perspective on ranked or just your individual perspective, but how do you feel about the playing for fun versus the playing for winning divide? Like, when you enter competitive, should you be only playing for the win and doing the most you can for the win? Or, does playing your favorite hero matter? Does playing, not joining voice chat because you want to have fun? What is the scale of importance in your guys' mind? Arrge, I'll let you go first, coming right up from the top tier.
That's a very hard question. I was thinking about it earlier because it's like there's certain levels of having fun that I've noticed, and it like depends on your skill level. There could be like a top 500 hit scan player that after grinding on his main account for 4 hours decide, okay, I'm just gonna go on my low GM Smurf account and just have fun. But it's like they're still gonna play really well. They're just gonna take extra risks. They're just not gonna. It's like, okay, they got a Pharah Mercy. I might still stay Doomfist and try to fist them out of the sky somehow. And it's hard to say. It's like, well, that's why that account is in low GM instead, because they are just having fun on that account. Like it obviously, like if they would try harder, then they would climb to the same rank on that account, and then but then again, what would they do then if they don't want to go full sweaty try hard in 4.6k games?
So where do you stand? Because that's another topic we will definitely touch on, about like having an alt account and where do we draw the line on sort of playing. Let's say you alt to play with your friends, etc., etc. But where do you stand kind of philosophically on it? Like, how do you approach the latter personally? And do you are you frustrated when someone is not doing that same thing? So do you play for fun mostly, or do you play to win?
Like I personally, I always play for the win, play to win, but it's like at the same time, it's like I try to not care what my teammates are doing at all. Like it shouldn't matter to me if they're one of those. If they're like a real GM player that's try harding, or maybe it's a top 500 player that's having fun in low GM. Like it's in the end, like I can't affect it. If I just start focusing, okay, this guy won't switch because he's just chilling on his Smurf account. Like, oh, it if I'm trying to personally climb on my main account, and then I get someone like that in my team, like, of course it would infuriate me. Like it would make me mad, but at the same time, it's like, well, that's what I should expect in this rank. Is like technically his skill level is still like a low GM because normally he's higher ranked player. So it's like the whole discussion is kind of hard to. It's like it's not black and white. It's extremely hard to.
No, I agree. I'm just for the sake of being the host, I'm going to give you mean questions that don't have black and white answers. But I'll go to Carrie first and then go to Bame, because I want to go like the sort of down the rank progression, as it were. So Carrie, I mean, how do you feel about the whole thing? You kind of touched on it, but
I have a very, I don't know, it's a very like passive approach, because like I don't know, I think like it's just like at the end of the game, I don't know, like this might not be, some people might not just like this take, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just a game. Like if you lose 100 SR, you're not gonna like a month later, you're not gonna be like, oh man, oh I lost 100 SR, like my life, like even in like a year, like I think a lot of people have been playing Overwatch for a while. Do you remember like a year ago when you lost your diamond game? Like,
oh yeah,
like not really. And so like, I mean, obviously, yes, like you want to try and it's fun to win, but it's like if I lose because we had a ball one trick. I'm like, okay, like, am I like? I don't think it's worth to get that mad over. And it's like, if someone wants to have fun, that's fine. And like, maybe this is just coming from me because I've already gotten my competitive juices out. I've already grinded from bronze to masters.
Mm.
So like, I've gotten my like competitive side like done with me. I just want to play competitive just to have fun and play the game in a competitive environment where I know people are hopefully trying their best to win. But like, I don't know, like you see a lot more here where you can kind of, I think you can kind of tell like if someone's playing for fun or if they're playing to win. And it's like if you know if they have like a Zen, if they have like a Tracer Genji, then okay, then maybe the Zen will swap. It's like, okay, well at least he's maybe. But if someone wants to play Zen, it's like I don't know. It's like it's just a game. I don't know. It's a very passive like take, but it's like I don't know. I'm just here to have fun, and like even if I lose, at least try the best that you can do to win the game. It's like I tried my best. I can't do everything, so yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you got the
Yeah,
PMA squad up here, man. Like,
No, but
Well,
like
yeah, I was
don't
gonna
know,
say
right?
like everybody with a real healthy attitude
I
to
don't know.
ladder. I need
I
need all the desk banging and the screaming at the mic going on.
I just got my competitive juices out. I've already tried to get as high as I could, and apparently that's masters. So now I'm just gonna chill in plat and just I don't know, play Ana. So
Mm. I can
So
tell
I
the
think-
hardcores in chat who are like, winning is fun though. What do you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, go on, Bame. I've been keeping you held back long enough.
So I think I think your original question is what do we expect from our teammates? I think is that where this
Yeah,
originated?
like
And-
the
and
divide between playing the fun. Yeah.
I really don't expect much out of my teammates, to be honest, like down here especially, but maybe not, maybe in general. So what I don't like is people say, "Oh my God, can you switch to this?" And when they're really mean about it, right? It's like, oh, come on now, right? Like I'm probably not going to do it. I'm probably pissed off. Instead, my philosophy is more of, well, okay, this isn't working. What can I do to improve my team, right? Like this one trick guy probably isn't going to switch, right? And if he does switch, he might be horrible at whatever he switches to or whatever I suggest. I know in my case, if someone tells me to switch to Arissa, God, I have no idea what to do with Arissa. Maybe Arissa's easy. I just don't like playing it, and I'll probably be pissed. So I think it's okay. What I'm doing right now, it's not working in this situation. Like I've got someone else I can switch to, and hopefully it's a different play style, and it might be able to help. So I just try to swap. And then if that doesn't work, it's like, all right, well, maybe I'll play Arissa because we're not going to win this anyways, right? Maybe I'll learn something at least in the process, right? So I think instead of expecting much from my teammates, especially down here, I don't expect much. I'll try to instead kind of just develop my game a little bit more if we're not winning. If we're winning, everything's great, right? And then yeah, it's all good. But that's kind of how I look at it down here.
Yeah, when you're winning, everyone's happy.
Yeah, and then also like shouldn't bronze, silver, gold be a place to learn anyways, right? Like, maybe I probably won't win every game. If I do, I'll climb. But I think, and I get people asking me all the time, almost every day, hey, I'll climb you to masters or whatever. I'm like, no, not really. I want to do it myself. If I'm not there yet, I probably need to learn more anyways, right? Just like all of my teammates. So I'll stay down here. It's probably a better place to learn the game, my character and game sense down here than up there, right? So
Yeah, I think like I said, I framed the question. I framed it very black and white, but the truth is that it's very complicated because there's a lot of factors. I think the biggest issue is that there's no way to really separate the different mentalities that people have when they press, competitive, queue up, hit their role, ready. There's the whole section of people there's some people who are like, I've just come home from work and I just want to play Overwatch, but quick play doesn't satisfy me. So I just want to, have fun. But hey, if I don't climb I don't care today. Then there's the people who are like, I just feel like playing, let's say, Winston today. I only want to play Winston. I'm just going to lock Winston and that's it. That's all I want to do today. And then there's the people who are like, I must reach GM no matter what. It's my life dream to be an Overwatch League player, and I must try hard as I can. Like, if anyone doesn't understand macro ult economy, then they're throwing my games, and I hate them all. So there's like, these various distinctions of people all being thrown together in the same melting pot. And I think that's where often frustration comes from in ladder, because one guy is like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And another guy's like, chill out, dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, just play the game. And it's like, no, you're throwing my game because you're not playing the optimal meta comp. And I'm sure we've all been flamed for our pick at some point or the other, right? Like, you're not playing the right hero, all that's the other. So I don't know what the solution is per se. Like, theoretically, quick play is supposed to be the one step down from comp, right? It's supposed to be, you want to play, want to have a good game, but you don't want to try super hard. Here's quick play. But as you know, most of us at least most of us feel like quick play is not quite enough. I'd rather play comp because it's a bit more challenging. Maybe there needs to be another tier above that of like, this is where people suggest third-party matchmaking, where you can actually ensure that the people who are playing are like really, really care about this game. Because I'm guilty of all of those at some point or the other, right? Like at some points I'm super try hard and I really want to climb and I really want to win this next game that I'm playing. And sometimes I'm doing an unranked GM on a certain account and people, might be like, oh, you're a hypocrite, CB, because how can you ask anyone to play hard if you're one-tricking Reinhardt for the content? So, even if I play as hard and I always play as hard as I can, someone might consider my pick to be a throw, right? Or they might consider my attitude to not be to be suboptimal. So it's a tough balance. Like what is the right way to approach? And really there isn't one, and everybody's got their different style. But so I'll let you guys feedback on that before I kind of segue to the next part, if you've got anything to add on that topic.
I don't know, man. It's just I feel like it's hard to like know what people want out of competitive, and it's like it's a team game. So if you don't if one person doesn't cooperate, then it's like, well, that's it, and it's really frustrating. So it's just like I don't want to say it's like I don't want to get super big and like it's kind of human nature, but it's just like I don't think it's like I don't think Blizzard can like ever like get something where it's like people will be satisfied with rank, because it's just like everyone's different and you can't like get down to the very nitty gritty of how people want to experience ranked.
Yeah, and the quick play, I really struggle with that because you don't get the feedback you get from comp play, right? Like quick play, I barely ever do it because it's like, oh, okay, I probably won, cool. But the rank, you at least get feedback, right? Like, okay, my SR changed, yeah, I lost. Everyone's probably trying real hard, right? So it's like quick play. I don't know. I'd rather just do comp play.
Arrge?
Well, like quick play, the problem, like my first of all, like the most easiest argument against quick play is that it's like you're either attacking or defending, and that's it. Like for example, Gibraltar, for me, Gibraltar second point is, for example, it's like the hardest point to attack. It's very easy to defend. So then if you just only get to attack on Gibraltar, and then that decides what like is if you win or lose the match, instead of who does better on the Gibraltar second point while defending or attacking, then it's like it already takes away the competitiveness and the fun for me.
Yeah, there's a funny balance, because obviously you can leave in quick play as well without any real penalty, and you can get like halfway through the game and suddenly like one person leaves, two people leave, and like now your game has been compromised. So as much as it's sort of like it's supposed to be a mode for fun, having people like leave or not try is not fun, right? Or like you said, if you're disadvantaged by the fact that you're defending on an unfavorable point or attacking on an unfavorable point, that also makes it less fun. So ironically, the punishments that exist in ladder, i.e. like lever punishment, are in a way necessary to facilitate the fun that might come in ranked. But speaking of, so I mentioned one tricking Reinhardt, for example. So I feel like it's a good time to bring up the idea of one tricking. I think at least, in fact, every single one of us has at some point one tricked a hero by our own self-professed admission. So how do we feel about one trick? We might be a little bit biased, but how do we feel about one tricking? Is it okay? Is it bad? Is it horrible? What do we think?
I mean, I don't like it, but like, again, like I can't stop you. Like, I would definitely get mad at someone like, oh, this guy's playing Reinhardt, or like, I don't know. Maybe, at least in this meta, it's like we might need a hog, or it's like, why are you playing Pharah without a Bercy? And like, obviously, I'm gonna get frustrated if I check their career profile and they are like one tricking Pharah. It's like, and I'll ask them to swap, but outside that, there's nothing I can do. So like, if that person still doesn't swap after those like attempts, then it's like, well, I'm just gonna try my best to win the game, despite having like a Pharah with no mercy against 2 hit scans and Zen. So like, yeah.
Yeah, down in my rank, I'm okay with one tricks because maybe they only know one character, right? Because they're not very good, perhaps, and new to the game, so it happens. I mean, I just try to deal with it, right? If they're maybe I can synergize with them, perhaps, right? I think I try to focus it more on the PMA side, right? And what can I do to help this person out, perhaps?
We're too nice here, basically. We need some toxicity. Algo, what are
Like
your thoughts? I mean, you obviously one-tricked quite a lot, so.
Yeah, like I pretty much consider the Hanzo one trick. But like, for example, let's say it's obvious that, okay, the enemy team decided to go Pharah, Echo, Hammond, Winston, Lucio, and Mercy, and just like all focus on me. So then the game is not even fun for me if there's literally 6 people that are all trying to hard counter me. So then it's okay, well, I'm just gonna switch heroes. Then I'm gonna have more fun. And they're already over committing onto me, so I get value just on that alone. But like, for example, I'd say the higher you get in rank, there's also, it's not just about like, you don't like, for example, I personally don't think that like, why would I go McCree against the Pharah when if I get a pocket and I'm on hand, so then I automatically win against the Pharah if I get up close because of the healing and damage boost and movement. It's easy to dodge the rockets, so it's like, I personally, if I get, for example, one trick Pharah in my team, I think it's a good thing because that means that they only played this one hero and got this high up in the rank. So then I'll try to figure out a way to play my character in a way that it's easier for this person to play the game. Like maybe the enemy Anna is hard focusing my Pharah, so then I'm just gonna hard focus the Anna to make space for the Pharah and stuff like that. So I don't think it's that big of a problem. Like, of course, there are situations where it's like, okay, well, what if there is the Echo Pharah in the enemy team, and then I get no support? Then we have a Doomfist one trick who literally can't do anything at all to the flying heroes unless he pulls off some crazy cheese. Like, then at that point, it's like, well, I guess I'll just have to switch to some hero that I'm not that comfortable with. Like, I guess that what I'm trying to say is like, of course, if there's like, let's say if everyone would one trick a hero, then it would create big problems in terms of like, well, what if you get a one trick Echo and one trick Pharah against one trick Symmetra, one trick Doomfist? Like, obviously, it's almost impossible to win that. But I don't think there is that much one tricking. Like, I think it's fine. Like, I'd say there's probably like 1 out of 100 games that you're gonna just lose because you get unlucky with one tricks.
So just to quickly summarize there, then, is that you're saying it's similar to what Bame said. First of all, you said you should just adapt to the, like, if you have a one trick, maybe there's a way you can play around them. But then also you're just saying that, like, on the one hand, yeah, if everyone one tricked, we might be in a bit of a problem because then the comps might just counter each other, or one comp might counter the other.
Yeah.
But you feel like we're not at that stage, basically, so it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, like, I don't think we're ever gonna get to that stage because it's kind of like free real estate. It's like, okay, well, if everyone's one tricking, but I'm not, then I could, you're gonna get an advantage and climb faster.
Carrie, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think like I said before, it's like I'm gonna get frustrated at one tricks, but it's like, I don't know. What else are you gonna do? Like, obviously, like, you can get really toxic and get like, oh, why is this guy fucking playing Reinhardt or whatever? But like outside of that, there's not much you can do. But like, I think part of it is like, I don't know. It's like, because when you match into a game, you've never seen your teammates before, and you don't know like your enemy as well. And so maybe like this guy like really likes to play Reinhardt because maybe he has like a 60% win rate on it, and he's like, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. But then but from like your perspective, it's like, why is this guy fucking playing Reinhardt? Or it's like in some games, someone will be like, oh, you got great heals. I'm like, oh, thanks. But in the very next game, some people are like, you got trash heals. I'm like, I think I'm playing the same style. I'm playing the same way. And so like, I don't know. It just seems like people just like, they like don't have any context on like why they're playing this hero or what they do with it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate a little bit here. So because we're all very nicey and we're all agreeing. So time for me to throw some shit into the pot. How would you respond if someone was to say that one tricking is a sort of fundamentally selfish enterprise because you're basically forcing your team to play around you, right? You're saying, I will play this hero. If you want to make it work, play around me. If not, we probably lose. How do you feel about the idea that one tricking is selfish?
I think that's a fair point. And for me, I played a lot of ball, but now I'm trying not to do that so much because I think to be a better player, I should know how to play other players, other characters, so that I learn them also in the process of also perhaps getting better to them, so that if there's a situation where it's good to swap, then I can do that, right? So I always try to go in to whether it's tank support, heal, or DPS. What at least have two characters for me, right? Because I'm still mildly new to the game, but hopefully it's if my ball doesn't work, maybe I can play Reinhardt, so I at least have a shield, right? So me personally, I'm trying to get away from one tricking because I think you learn more. At least for me, I'm learning more about the game by playing other characters. So I think it's good to have some diversity, and I've been working towards that myself personally. And so I kind of agree with that. I'm trying to go there myself.
Arrge, how do you feel?
So, okay. Well, so I was thinking, I don't know if this is completely related, but like I'd say that everyone at least has a main hero that they play most of the time. And if you're like a jack of all trades, you're relying more on countering the comp than skill. Like it's like you could be lower skill level, but you get a tiny advantage by playing hit scan into Pharah, for example. But then if the Pharah is actually really good, he's just gonna play behind a wall. Like if I wasn't a one trick, like if I decide to switch my one trick Hanzo to a Widow because I'm asked to, then the Pharah is just gonna back up and go behind a wall. It won't really help that much. And you could also argue that, for example, let's say I have a Doomfist one trick in my team. He's automatically gimping himself because there are some heroes that really hard counter, like Pharah. But if I would play around him instead of thinking that it's selfish, like the way I see it is, okay, we got a one trick Doomfist who's 3.9k, but technically, if Pharah didn't exist, he would probably be 4.2. So his skill level is higher than the rank he is. So if I make sure that the Pharah in the enemy team doesn't hurt our Doomfist's gameplay, then it's pretty much a guaranteed win at that point.
But again, wouldn't the argument be that that is selfish then, right? Because the Doomfist is asking you to make up for his flawed pick theoretically. If it's a suboptimal
then again,
pick.
like the argument goes both ways in my opinion. It's a team game. It's like even if it wasn't a Doomfist one trick, maybe would it suddenly be fine to play Doom against Pharah? Like let's say you have your ultimate, so you're not gonna switch yet. But so then is your teammates gonna be like, oh well, you're playing Doomfist, I'm just gonna not play around you because it's selfish for you to not switch. So it's like you could just maybe have the Reinhardt keep his shield up more so he doesn't require that much heals, and then the Ana can focus on shooting down the Pharah and make space for the Doomfist to just demolish everything. So it's like it is I see both sides, but at the same time it's like it's like someone's gonna play around someone. Everyone has
Like
their main hero.
saying it's a team game, like I feel like in Overwatch, which is a team game, I feel like if you have the mentality that's like, oh, someone else will it's like I want to play this hero and it's a team game, guys. Everyone play around me. It's a team game. Like I think you have like in an environment like that, don't feel like everyone else will like do it, you know? Like if it's a team game, you should be the ones like, okay, I'll swap to do this instead of like, all right, I mean, I'll just stand this hero. I think everyone else is gonna swap, right? It's a team game, right? Just like you need to be the one who like swaps, which is why like no, I do think it's like incredibly selfish because like if you want to be a better player, you should learn multiple heroes. And it's like if you are one trick at something, you're eventually gonna get countered really hard, and you're like, well, this sucks. It's like, well, learn other heroes if you want to have a better time at the game. And like, oh, I hate how like people keep shooting me down when I'm far. Then like, we'll learn another hero. Like, it would also just increase your enjoyment of the game and increase other people's enjoyment of the game because like you can play with multiple heroes, so one gets countered, and also just playing multiple heroes is fun. But that's like objective. But yeah, it's just like it is quite selfish because like I don't know.
Yeah, because there's no two ways. There's no two-way street, right? As Arrge said, it is fair to say, well, hey guys, it's a team game. Work around me. But the difference is that you're not willing to work around them. So you're not providing them what you're asking them to do for you. I suppose is the and you go ahead.
Yeah, so there's also all these advantages. Like let's say I'm playing Hanzo and then they decide to go Pharah. And let's say it's an open map like Ilias Ruins, but they still decide to go Pharah against me. So then we automatically win for free if we get a Widowmaker because it will be such a dominant pick against the Pharah. But if I would be the one to switch to Widowmaker, then the Pharah would just immediately switch too. But now they're gonna stay Pharah to try to counter me. So it's like most of the time, like it obviously depends on the hero, but like for example, if you try to hard counter Hanzo, you have to overcommit on counter picks. Like you might go Hammond, Winston, Pharah, and then if the second DPS is McCree, you still have a huge advantage, provided that the Hanzo is also good at hitting targets that are harder to hit for the character. Like there's always the flip side of if you counter a character, then that counter to your character is gonna get countered by something else.
It's a long chain of countering.
Yeah.
But again, I think that might be a little bit more exclusive to the kind of elos that you play at Arrge. Because at Bame, and I head over to you now. How does one tricking kind of impact when you're in bronze, silver, and gold? I think it's a whole different. I think people aren't quite, as you said, aren't familiar with as many different heroes. So that wheelhouse of counter picking isn't, I don't think, necessarily as accessible.
Man, I take a one trick if he at least knows what he's doing, right? Like, I mean, I think it's so chaotic down there, anyways, down here that like, if we got a one trick, like I think that's fine. Hopefully, he knows what he's doing. He's probably worse on other characters if it's down here, man. To be honest, if you have him switch, like he probably doesn't even know what the ultimate does for that guy, right? Like, that's why double-edged sword. I think I saw someone say in chat the one tricky, and I think especially down there, I think you just kind of deal with it, man. People are learning the game in general. Positioning's horrible anyway, so even if you had someone that knows what they're doing, the rest of the guys are just running around doing whatever the hell they want anyways, right? So it doesn't even really matter. I think one tricking down, at least down in my rank, isn't a big deal based on there's so many other things going on that it doesn't really affect, you know?
Yeah, I think it's also like a combination of like that and like just a lack of like game sense or like I guess awareness. Cause like it seems like I don't know, like it seems pretty obvious that they're running like Tracer Genji. They really shouldn't play Zen. And like I've seen games where my Zen just keeps dying over and over and over to the Tracer, and he just won't swap. And it's like I feel like there also is like it's like rock paper scissors, but like at like higher ranks, someone throws rock. Like, all right, I know what to do now. I'm gonna throw paper, and you're gonna pick the other hero to counter it. Like at lower ranks, they throw rock, and it's like I don't know what the fuck. I'm gonna stay on my hero, exactly. Like you know. And it's like it's like they don't know a lot about the game, and they're like, I like playing Doom. I will play Doomfist, and it's just like you know. So like, yeah,
it's an interesting thing because it definitely varies as you go across the ranks. I think there's definitely an argument to be made that I would say the metal ranks, so platinum and below, the game is so chaotic and played at such a suboptimal level anyways that you could probably get full value out of any pick, right? Like, and this is where the nuance of it comes in, because if you think about it, playing the meta at platinum or gold or silver, you might ask what's the point, because chances are people aren't going to play the comp well enough. I think this was perfectly demonstrated in double shield meta, where no one was playing double shield in gold, and if they did, they got rolled, because it was a comp that required very precise coordination of certain cooldowns, namely like the hold, dynamite, the accretion. And if you're not doing that, then the comp is automatically shit. So in that case, actually playing meta might actually be bad because it's not suited to that elo that is being played in. And so the same argument could be made for a one trick where, like you said, if you're a one trick Doomfist, maybe you're just better off playing Doomfist because at least you can make that character work, and people don't really know how to counter him properly in Platinum anyways, so even if he's suboptimal, you're likely to get more value. But then as you go higher, and I've experienced this in my adventures one tricking Reinhardt, is that the higher I go, the harder it became to get away playing this suboptimal pick, because people knew more and more how to punish this hero. So if it was double shield meta, people would just play double shield too well and my Reinhardt pick would suck. Or now in double off tank meta, it's like I just feel like I'm throwing. So whenever I do that, I do feel very guilty. I do think it is a selfish act. I do think to some degree I am putting a burden on my team to kind of make it work around me. But again, it goes back to the discussion of like, why do we play? Do we play just because I want to play a certain hero and I'm entitled to that pick, or do I have to swap? Arrge, I feel like you have something to say on this.
I just wanted to say that like it doesn't matter if you're a one trick or not, you're still the best on just one hero. Like it's extremely rare to be equally good on two heroes. Like everyone has their main hero. And it's like even if you're not a one trick, what if you only play, for example, Doomfist, Symmetra, and it's like, okay, you're playing two heroes, so technically you should be better than someone who only plays Hanzo. But then again, neither one, like Doomfist and Symmetra, are still kind of like the same type of hero. Or let's say you're like you only play Soldier and McCree and Tracer. So then you're still gonna get hard countered by someone who's extremely long range, like Widowmaker or Hanzo. Like you're gonna always be at a disadvantage. So it's like it's kind of, I think it's kind of extends to the same argument that like even if you're not one tricking, it's still better to play your best hero and then have like try to figure out who should flex in terms of like what's gonna give you the highest chance of winning. Like if you got a really bad McCree, and if like should you really go McCree? Like even if you're not one trick, you might not be that comfortable on a McCree, for example.
But again, I guess the argument, and that's fair. I think the argument we made though is it's about levels, right? So as you said, everyone is naturally probably, there's very few people who are equally good on two heroes. You probably have your main and your favorite hero. But for example, let's say if I main Orisa, and I'm like a 10 out of 10 on Orisa. If I'm a 7 out of 10 on Winston and the situation demands a dive comp, would it not be better to switch to the 7 out of 10 pick and get some value rather than force the theoretically 10 out of 10 pick, which is right now being hard countered, to make the entire team work, as opposed to only playing the hero because I'm best at it?
Yeah, it depends on the rank. Because like a GM, sorry, go on.
I was also gonna say that I feel like there's also different levels of like requirement. Like for example, I feel like it's way harder to one trick on the tank role. There's even like maps where some heroes just won't really work that well. Yeah, like Gibraltar, for example. If you don't have dive, then how are you gonna contest high ground? But with like DPS heroes, you got way more like leeway on what is good and what is not.
Yeah, I cry in tank. Yeah, Carrie, go ahead.
Because like I feel like it depends on the rank. Because if you're playing like Grandmaster, it's like I think obviously the other like you said, like switch to the theoretically better pick, but you're like if you're like an Orisa one trick, but like Winston's a better pick here, it's like I think a GM win. You know what I mean? Where it's like I think at a higher level of play, there's a much smaller margin of error. And so like if you're really bad at Winston, even though it's technically the better pick, it's like you're probably just gonna suck at it because the other team is gonna like because they're grandmasters, they're gonna be able to like really focus you down or like play around you much better because you don't know what the fuck you're doing on Winston. Whereas like in like silver or gold, like if you play Winston, I feel like it's much easier, even though you might not be as good on it. So like I think it just depends on like the rank and how like able they are to like squeeze every bit of value out of each hero.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Like I've been getting a lot of value by swapping out earlier, and I've been telling myself to do that more and more. You know, start with ball for the fun. If that ain't working, swap out early to hog or something else. Hog or Zarya. I agree. I think you're right on that. But I can do that because I'm down low, right? But up higher, right, you get penalized more, perhaps. So that's why maybe you do need to do that to kind of stick with what you're good at because the margin of error is so much smaller.
Yeah, and like you say, it can depend hero to hero. So like I think being like picking Orisa, for example, it provides a natural value. Like no matter how bad you are at Orisa, as long as you're dropping your shield eventually on cooldown, somewhere it's providing someone with 600 HP worth of protection. So even if you're like a bad Orisa and you're not, using supercharger optimally or your halts optimally, your certain pick can just provide enough value. Or like broken Brigitte, for example, where sometimes it's just like just existing on this hero and occasionally slapping someone, you're triggering your inspire. You've got you've got just press button, shoot armor pack out. So whereas someone like flexing to Widowmaker, for example, is a terrible idea if you cannot actually hit your shots. So yeah, it can vary on your hero as well.
I also want to continue, like, for example, something that always stuck with me was like when I played with Bastion main, like this famous Bastion one trick pretty much. Like what he kept repeating in voices is like, just play like you would normally play. Don't try to play around me. That he's the one who's gonna play around the team. And like he always managed to give us such a big advantage that even if we just played like we normally play, we're just at a huge advantage at that point because no one knows how to play against Bastion. You get so much space. You can go for another angle where compared to where your teammates are going, and they have to focus on the Bastion instead. You just create so much space. Like for example, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Like top one DPS player on EU last season. Pharah, pretty much a Pharah one trick. Why is it N? Winza? I don't know if you're supposed to yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's whenever I played with him, it was like, okay, the enemy team is running Widowmaker Ashe, but we still destroy them because it gives me so much space. They're both focusing on the Pharah, and he knows how to play around walls. It just feels like it's so extremely easy because they have to overcommit on his pick, which makes the game so much more easier and more fun for me to play.
That seems like that's a very like adult mindset though. Like it would work in GM because like if a far one trick's like, all right, I'm in GM, it's like, okay, well I trust him because he's in GM and if he's playing only far, like he must know something good. But if you're in like gold and a far one trick's like, don't worry guys, trust me.
I got this.
It's like I don't know, and it's like not everyone's gonna be in team chat to hear that information, and it's just like yeah. So it depends on the rank. So yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could argue that if you're gonna play Pharah in gold, then the hit scan player that's supposed to hard counter the Pharah is gonna be way worse. Like I saw someone talking in chat about like he's like in low ranks, and even if he picks Widow to counter Pharah, it's like, well, he can't guarantee he's gonna hit that headshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where I think the rank does affect it because, like you said, like a skillful one trick is a great thing. Like Bastion main being like, don't play around me, I'll do my own thing, because he understands obviously the ins and outs of how to make Bastion work in several different scenarios. But along the rungs of ladder, where let's say in silver or gold or platinum or diamond, that one trick player is still learning, and so they're probably going to be more easily countered and more easily found out.
Like the argument here is that you're gonna be in low rank, you're gonna be worse at the game, but so is the person who's trying to counter you. So it's gonna be easier to counter you, but the enemy is gonna be worse at countering you. So it like cancels itself out when you go into lower ranks. And at the same time, I could even argue that it's one tricking is even better in lower ranks because most low ranked players don't have that much time to play, and like if you just learn that one hero really well, you're gonna have an advantage against people because they still don't know how to counter you that well.
But like it depends on the meta though. Like I feel
true,
like if you
that as well.
Yeah, no,
Like
I
the
think
meta will always, but then again, the lower you go in rank, the less meta is played, in my opinion.
yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah.
I think if your pick is off meta though, and then people will have no idea how to counter. I think that's the like if you're one tricking Winston in sort of brawl era, everyone kind of is already picking Reaper or knows Reaper, and so they probably it just falls into place for them to just shoot you in the face. But yeah,
I
if
think it
you're like
depends on which hero, like which role you're one tricking. Because like if you're one tricking like a support or like a tank, I feel like I don't know, like this is a very case by case thing. Because I feel like I feel like I don't know. It feels like to me that DPS might be like the one that gets blamed a lot, like DPS swap, which might not be true. Like some people might be like, "Oh, well, from my experience, supports are said to they tell the supports to swap or the tanks to swap." But it's like if you're one tricking like a Moira, like unless you're like straight up DPS Moiraing, people are arguing like, "Well, I mean, Moira, we got good heals. That guy can't be the problem." So like, if you're if you're playing like at least right now, if you're like playing a meta tank, which I guess like if you go lower in the ranks, the meta doesn't matter. But if you're playing like a Reinhardt or something or a Zarya, people be like, okay, like I mean that's not really the issue. So it must be like I guess the McCree where it's like we need more damage, I guess. So like it depends on which hero or which role you're gonna one trick down there. Because if it's like DPS and if you lose, it's like because if you're playing an off meta like this weird ass maybe like some sim one trick, and the moment we start losing, like okay, well it must be the sim. Like we fucking
yeah.
like so,
Yeah.
like it depends on which role like. But on supports, there's only so many crazy picks you can bust out on support. Like maybe Zen, but even then it's like Zen's all right sometimes, So like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
think
go ahead on.
like I was said earlier that like on tank it's harder to one trick. It's the same way with support. It's like there's not that many heroes, and like DPS is not really split into like main DPS and off DPS. Like of course there's like hit scan and flex DPS, but it's like well like previous metas for tank, you always need a main tank and an off tank. Or like you can't just pick two off tanks, you're gonna lose. Same way with you can't just really pick two off heals, or your tanks are gonna get destroyed. But
Hmm.
with DPS, it's not that serious because the rest of your team can still function.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very true. And also, like you said, if you pick off meta, you get the benefit of people not knowing how to counter you, but then your team is more likely to flame you basically for being like a suboptimal pick. And that's partly the issue as well, I think, with one tricking. As much as people bash about one trick, it's also like I think a mentally more tiring experience because constantly getting flamed for something that necessarily isn't your fault, right? I think that's where it comes down to blame culture and rank. But like you were illustrating, Carrie, it's just like when something goes wrong, the first thing people look for is the off meta pick. They're like, who here is not Overwatch League pick? Who here? Let's find out.
That's also like thinking that way is gonna limit. Like you're not gonna learn and improve as well if you always just look for like the picks instead of thinking about how could I have played differently to win.
When I get flamed for playing ball, I'm like, you know what? The other guy's probably feeling a little bit better by blaming me, so he can blame me for his loss, and then he feels better, right? Personally, I just take that. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm a horrible ball, bro. Sorry, man. Right? Whatever. That's how I look at it. That's more PMA, but
That's the best approach. It's like yes, I'm sorry, I'm boosted trash. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I can't help it. That's just me. I'm boosted trash. One trick. It's unlucky. We go next.
I'm the reason we lost, not you, bro. You're good, dude.
It usually like calms them down as well because they're like, it's like, what? He's not like trying to fight back. He's taking it. Okay. I don't know what to do at this point. Like, are you gonna keep flaming someone who's like, yeah, you're true. I'm a horrible person. It's like, what can you even say at that point?
Then they'll just say avoid you and report you. Then that's what comes next after that. Whatever.
Oh yeah, the classic avoid our insert character here in match chat just for some vindication at the end.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah. Yes, again, you guys are too wholesome. The correct response is F you and your mother and everything you love. You throw a boosted piece of trash. Yeah, anyways. So, okay, I think we've thoroughly kind of gone over the concept of one tricking. I'm not sure will ever satisfy everyone, but I think we've kind of given a good spectrum of perspectives on it. But there's one thing we kind of alluded to throughout all that was the idea of different metas in different ranks and how different, different comps, certain things are much more viable in a certain rank. So, Bame, I want to start with you. How do you feel like, well, how do you have like a general principle of how you think metas affect the lowest ranks in Overwatch? And is there something that you think I wish when people talk about metas they understood when it comes to my ranks? Like, for example, just one off the top of my head, something that people often say is when we're having these group up discussions, we'll be like talking about DPS and we'll say, yeah, Junkrat, he's not a great pick, he's just a whatever pick. And then people who are like, I'm in silver, do you know what you're talking about? Like, Junkrat is just completely oppressive, he just destroys everything. So
Junkrat
over to you.
destroyed the hell out of me, man. Dude, I eat all those traps and I just take all the damage to the face. Yeah, it's totally different down here. Like, I watch Overwatch League and I see how those guys play. I'm like, there's no way in hell we could ever pull this off in 100 games, right? Like, a Sombra doing her EMP or whatever, even getting out. Like, I'm like, dude, that ain't happening. It's totally different. But I think, like, back when Brigitte was really good, right? You could probably take her and like help out a lot, right? So I think it kind of depends on the play style, right? So, like, really team focused metas, I don't think necessarily work because we're not really playing like a team. But certain like right now, Hog's pretty OP, right? So I've been trying to, if my ball isn't going well, I'll just get on Hog and shoot my gun, and I'm getting value, kind of, right? Because he's kind of OP now. I think it's just I try to look for characters that are good at the moment, and I try to play them down here because it helps you learn them too, right? So that's kind of, I know a lot of people aren't happy with how they balance things, right? But I think it's a good opportunity to learn a different character, right? So take the guy that's really good, that's kind of the no-brain hero that's really OP right now, and use them, right? And you could perhaps suggest that to your teammates too, but I think personally I try to do that. I think it's overall team metas aren't important down where I'm at, but I think certain overtuned characters, like, yeah, I'll just default to that guy and I'll probably get some value, even though I don't really know him too well right now, but he's pretty easy, right?
Carrie, how do you feel? Because you're
I
obviously...
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's other Plats out there who feel the same way, but it's like there's not really a meta, but it's like there's what people think it's a meta because, like, at least from my perspective, at least from someone who watches a ton of Overwatch League, it's like there could be a meta in Plat, or there could be no meta in Plat, and then the Overwatch League will play a certain comp. People are like, oh, I guess that's a meta now, and people will play it in Plat. But like when in reality, there might just be a different comp that just actually works better. But people are like, well, this is what the pros are playing, I guess. Or maybe it just trickles down from like Grandmaster down to Masters, down to like all the way down to Plat, where people are like, I mean, this is what the pros are playing, so must be pretty good. Like, I don't know if that's like an entirely true statement, but at least that's what it feels like. I mean, obviously, like they buffed Hog, and it's like Hog's a very like big DPS. I can play Hog on my own. I can fucking solo queue with them. I don't really care. But like, it just feels like the meta just trickles down to Plat, where people think like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I'll play this. I guess is what the pros are playing.
I think, and then thinking from a different perspective, man, if someone's on that Bastion, dude, like, fuck, man, I can't deal with that thing. Like, if he's got a Mercy on him and a shield, dude, we can't cope with that, man. It's really awful. And no one plays that up in the higher levels, but man, down there it's brutal. Junkrats, man, jeez. There's just a few things that my team can't deal with. And like when I'm on tank and there's a Bastion, like I can't do nothing against him, man. I mean, now I can kind of do Hog, I guess, but before a ball get lit up, my shields melt. I can't even like get to him before I can't even damage him before I get to him because he's already blasted me down already. So the metas are definitely different down there. There's some classes that are just like unstoppable with no team.
Arrge, I feel like you go ahead.
Yeah, so like the metas and stuff reminded me that, of course, meta shifts when there's new patches. So like that could be kind of argument against one tricking is like there's a lot of this situation. Like the classic one is that there was the double shield meta. So there's a lot of Orisa 1 tricks that get to 4.6k, and now double shield is dead. What are they gonna do? They're basically dead. Like there's no way they're 4.6 on any other hero. So then they're just gonna crash and burn, or they're gonna keep playing their nerfed hero and they're of course still gonna statistically, like, they have to drop to a lower SR because the hero is worse now than before. And
Yeah.
yeah, like also something not really related to this one, but like one tricking on tank or support is always like it has the higher chance to have, for example, two players that one trick the same hero. You might have two Roadhog one tricks in one team, for example. So
I believe the
it's
term
like,
is meta boosted.
yes.
Yeah. But how do you feel about how metas kind of affect the ranks you play, and obviously the highest level, closest to Overwatch League that we get?
Like obviously in highest rank, it's mostly just everyone plays the meta. And if you're wondering, you have to adapt to the new meta. You have to figure out new ways to play to get that extra value. And like the way I see it, I guess people that only play the meta, they don't know how to deal with someone disrupting their normal gameplay cycle. Like there's like the double shield meta, the normal gameplay cycle is like, okay, we're just gonna shift these shields. When Orisa shield breaks, we put the Sigma shield down until we get the new Orisa shield, and then the Sigma shield is reloaded. Well, what if we're going ball hog, and the ball is just gonna boop out the other shield person, or the hog is gonna farm the other shield. So then they're just gonna get completely overwhelmed and lose the game. So even if there is a ball and a hog one trick against the meta, they're still just gonna dominate.
Hmm. And I think this is something that's actually true of every rank, is that in my experience, I think people only really know how to play one comp at a time. I think they find it very difficult, I think, to flex to a comp that suddenly is like off, like gone from the meta. So like, for example, if I want to play Ryan Zarya and it's double off tank meta as it is now, people suddenly just forget how Ryan Zarya used to work. Or if you want to play dive, people are suddenly like, what do you mean? How do I play that? I just want to play Hog Zarya. What are you making it difficult for? Just pick Hog Zarya. And I feel like people very quickly forget how to make other comps work. Or like you said, if somebody suddenly is breaking the perfect bubble of like, this is the comp, they suddenly struggle to actually adapt to this new variable that's been thrown into their game. Because I think people are very, very rigid in that sense. I mean, how do you feel about this, Carrie?
Well, there's this like term that I think Avast uses. I'm not sure if it's him. I think it's him, but it's called like meta inertia, where it's like if a meta like changes, some people will just stick with what they know. Where it's like, I mean, this is meta before. It's like I guess okay, so like the meta kind of like carries on. I might just be absolutely botching what he means by this, but it just feels like it's like if a meta changes, some people are just like, eh. I mean, I'll just keep playing what I want. I know, and because like it's what I'm used to. And if it works, it's like, well, shit, I guess it's still meta then. And then they just keep sticking with that until like it ends up not working. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually worry that, because I think in the past the default meta for everything diamond and below, I think is roughly Ryan Zarya based. I think
Yeah.
most games in sort of the metal ranks have always been with the Reinhardt. I think if there's kind of disproportionately so, even when he wasn't meta, because it's relatively straightforward to play behind the big giant blue rectangle. But now I worry that now the Roadhog Zarya has been meta for a while, I worry that people are just going to default to essentially quad DPS comps and just run around hooking and flanking and doing all kinds of nonsense for a while. But Bame, how do you feel about meta inertia?
Boy, down here I don't think it really matters. To be honest, like you just said, I mean, to organize double shield down there is kind of rough. Might as well have Hog and Zarya running around DPS anyways, right? That's how they're gonna play. I don't think it really matters, man, what the meta is. Like, I think people, a team meta, like, they're probably not gonna do it. They may try. They'll probably get frustrated because maybe two of them will try to do it out of six, right? So I don't know. I think people are still trying to figure it out. I guess I am, or I am like I kind of know what it maybe should be, but like it just doesn't work down there, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to add before I kind of ask? I want to ask a slightly related question, but anything more to add on that? No. Well, so my related question then is, and I'll start with you again, Bayman. We'll work clockwise up to Arrge. Do you think there should be any consideration to the metal ranks or the lower ranks when it comes to balancing?
Good question. Sure, I think so. Um, So, like, my thoughts on that are, like, I really struggle with, like, I don't know, man, you got me thinking here. Like, Junkrat, I think is pretty tough down there, and up in the high ranks. No one plays them, I don't think. Maybe they do. I don't know, man. You got me stumped on this one, bro.
Should I come? Should I give you a second to think, and
Yeah.
maybe I'll forward over
Yeah.
to Carrie then. Carrie.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like I know like there's an issue with like Blizzard, like they don't know who to balance for, and like I remember like because I do some of the patch notes videos, and like it's so funny because I just get like all sorts of comments down there, like because I know like every YouTube video discussing like the new patch, there's always like comment. It's like the comment section is like a forum for people to discuss their opinions, and there's some people like this patch is so bad. Some people are like this patch is so good. Some people are like, oh, I'm glad I quit this game a long time ago. Some people are like, oh, they've nerfed my hero. They thank God for this buff. It's just like all sorts of opinions, and I can't imagine like just looking at this and like trying to extract some feedback from like on how to do it. I mean, I guess the short answer is like I really don't know because like to be honest, it's a job that I don't envy of like trying. I'm not of deciding who to balance it for, how to balance it, and like how often. It just seems like a such a difficult like thing, and I don't. It just seems like selfish if I say like they should balance for this rank, they should balance for the pro level, or they should balance for this, and it just seems like tough because there's always gonna be someone who complains. I don't know.
Yeah, for the balancing, like I don't really get worked up on it. I think it changes the game, and I think it makes the game fresh, right? It's never going to be perfect. I think they intentionally over tweak some things to see what happens, for a month or two, and then maybe swap it out or maybe longer. I don't know. I think it's just about adapting, and like maybe a counter down Rymat is different than a counter in GM perhaps too, right? So I think the game is different, and you have to find ways to get around it. I think, yeah. So I don't think they need to balance necessarily by rank. I think maybe you just need to play a little bit differently against it, for or against it.
So what the question is this: should we balance for low or high ranks, or is it like deeper than this?
I've tried to be a little bit less black and white this time. I just said should the meta ranks be considered? Should we think about how a change is going to affect people in Plat and people in Gold when we make about, or should it just be no balance for Overwatch League in the top tier? Whatever else happens.
Well, I personally think you should always just balance for the highest ranks, like, and then it's like there might be multiple solutions to a problem, and then you could choose the one that is that makes the game most fun for all ranks. But if you try to balance a game for low ranks, that I don't think that would really work. Like, let's say it's so hard for hitscan players to hit a Pharah in low ranks, so maybe we just make hitscan hitbox bigger so that it's easier for bronze McCree to hit that Pharah. Like that would just make McCree broken in the high ranks. But if you like balance for high ranks, I feel like it won't really make some heroes broken in low ranks. It will just kind of make some heroes too bad to play in low ranks. Like Anna, for example, if you're in bronze, you're not gonna hit enough shots to make it more valuable than Mercy.
Carrie?
I don't want to like come off as like I'm not sure, but it's like
Go for it. Give your most extreme opinion if you must.
No, I mean like I don't know. It just like I really like. I remember at the beginning of the year, they said they were gonna patch more frequently, and to be honest, it feels like they haven't. Like to be honest, like if they said that they were gonna patch things more frequently, or like we're gonna target the meta and like really patch stuff quickly. It's like as soon as Hog became meta, I feel like they should have just like at least reverted him back to what he was before. Maybe that's too harsh for change in their eyes, but it's like I don't know though. I don't know if they say that like we're gonna make really hard changes, and then like they make a change and Hog becomes super meta, and now people aren't happy with it, and they just don't change that. I know that they recently pushed out a new experimental patch, but like I don't know. It just I would still like faster patches, which I know like if you do it too fast, it's hard to get feedback on like what's actually good and what's not, and I get that. But yeah, I don't know. Like that's like one of the things that like yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think um, it is always tough. I agree to a large extent with Arge, because I think if you the danger of balancing for like Arge said, if you balance for gold and you balance a hit scan for gold level play, that hero then becomes outrageous in top 500 because it's the accessibility, the power becomes spiked. So I do think that the general balance should be catered to the sort of what is the maximum value this hero could possibly get in the hands of a really skilled player. Because otherwise, you're just going to let certain people run rampant, and that's going to make the game really unfun. And if you have considerations of for Overwatch League, for example, the last thing you want is for Overwatch League to be a complete clown fiesta where just like one character is wildly broken and everyone's just abusing this character, and it's just like, I don't know, like Echo Diff, like in every Overwatch League game or whatever. On the flip side, I completely also understand why people want, I think at least some consideration should be given to how, I wouldn't say balance a hero around the top to the let's say gold, but do think that if we buff this hero, will they just completely shred face in gold or in plat? Because I think that's something that does happen. You know, like we would never want Bastion to be remotely strong because he's just gonna completely wreck face in everything below plat. And again, then the problem becomes you start having this almost meta boosted thing where someone gets to Diamond playing Bastion only, and then eventually when people get to Bastion Diamond, they're just like, yeah, I know how to counter Bastion now. So someone gets inflated to Diamond and just makes life hell for everyone in Plat and below. But then, yeah, from that point on, they're kind of stuck. And in many ways, I think the hero this most applies to is probably Pharah. I think she's probably the most the response to Pharah is the most different depending on your mechanical ability, your rank, and your platform as well, actually. Because below Master, I think nobody thinks Pharah is a problem. Below Plat, everyone thinks Pharah is a problem. And on console, most people think Pharah is a problem. And it's like this very weird divisive thing where she's on such a knife edge that if you buff her even slightly, she's probably going to just completely Shrek everything below Diamond. And if you don't buff her, well, she's unplayable in Masters and GM, unless you're whoever that player was. Like, I still don't know how to pronounce their name. And you're really skillful, and you can one trick her to GM and top 1. But yeah, I think it's a fine balance.
I think it's just like there's just some heroes that just aren't good at certain ranks. Like, I mean, I think Sombra's really bad at bad ranks. His teams can't utilize him well, and then Pharah is really bad at higher ranks just because people have really good aim. Like I don't know, it just seems like trying to. I remember even Jeff said like we don't want to try to make it so like every hero is viable because that's really tough to do, and it's like I think that's just a reality. Some heroes are good at lower ranks, some heroes are good at high ranks. That's just like that's just how it is. Like if you try to fix that, you're gonna make the game worse.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too. Like, you know, sitting here thinking, I think it's the way it is, right? And maybe it's a rite of passage, right? Like I can't do it the Bastion now, but maybe when I can, I'll get to Plat or something, right? Like I think you probably don't worry about the lower ranks so much. I guess the more I think about it, and it's just kind of you got to learn how to deal with it. I think to get good, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the theoretical point of a ranked journey is if Bastion is really a problem, the whole point of climbing to Diamond is learning to deal with a Bastion, basically. And this is why I just want to quickly address a couple, like something people suggested in chat was having different patches for different ranks. I'm categorically super against that for that same reason, because if you have a different patch, let's say when you're in Plat and when you're in Diamond, let's say you cross over the threshold, now you're in a whole new world. Again, I should have had that on the soundboard.
Suddenly McCree's hitbox is 10 times smaller.
Yeah, and now you're playing a different game, right? And now you have to relearn everything, rather than having already learned how to deal with Pharah, and now yeah, like you said, it's a rite of passage. But yeah, go ahead, Arge.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of things we went through, like for example, like Jeff said that not all heroes can be viable at the same time. Like I think it's more like some heroes are only viable in certain maps or even parts of certain maps. Like even when double shield was like, you go double shield or you lose. Like it was so dominant before any of the nerfs. It was still like kind of like I keep going back to Gibraltar. because like for example, there it's like you still pretty much have to go dive tanks, otherwise you can't attack. You can't like it gets very difficult.
Yeah, and it's like no matter the meta, the control center in Lijiang is like brawl.
Yeah, no matter what the meta, you go Junkrat on some choke points, and it's like, but normally you wouldn't pick Junkrat in most parts or most maps.
I feel like that's the way it should be, though. Sorry, Arrge, I keep interrupting. You go. I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, it's fine. I was gonna go to the other point. It's like I feel like when they buffed Genji a while back, like that was them finally kind of caving in and kind of trying to buff a hero for some like for outside of Overwatch League level play. So then suddenly Genji became this hero. Like, okay, let's say you're Necros, for example. You're gonna literally just double your win rate almost. You go 100% win rate because it's so ridiculously strong. Like it was already very strong. Like you get Nano Blade and you win the fight. There's no way around it unless you have to risk, for example, a grab to counter the Nano Blade. And even then you might slice someone that's near the grab, or they might miss the grab. So then you basically just did a team kill, and the enemy team lost their own way of getting a team kill next fight. So like then now in addition they made Genji into like as good of a DPS as all the other heroes like McCree and Ashe and Hanzo. So it just got very out of hand. They immediately reverted that patch.
Yeah, I think that's more to do with Blizzard's, like, they have this real tendency to drop multiple changes at once. Like, if a hero's bad, they're like, okay, we'll change his fire rate, and we'll change his damage, and we'll give him this, and we'll give him that, and then we'll see how it goes. And it's like, you could have just changed one, you could just change one and see how it goes. But I do think...
What was that, though? Come on, I think they do all that just to make it chaotic, right?
Like, I love when they just, like, suddenly spin the whole game, and like, okay, Pharah deals 50% more damage now. Let's see how it goes. Like, I think that would like make the game feel fresh because it would instantly force a meta change. But with the Genji thing, it was more like, well, we had 15 seasons of Genji having to be the must pick, and now we're going back to that. So it really wasn't the play, in my opinion.
I get out here hating on his Shimada bro, basically.
Not gonna lie, I think it's the most like I always keep saying, is Nano Blade. The best counter is just die really fast. Okay, they're Nano Blading. Jump off the map. That's the only counter there is, unless you want to risk your own ultimates.
No, I think so. I think the ideal state, in my opinion, is if like certain picks are better on certain maps, because then you the theoretical philosophy behind Overwatch is supposed to be counter picking and switching for different points and all that stuff. And I think if you have a world where one game you enter and Pharah's the pick, or one game you enter and now Widowmaker's the pick, and one game you enter and now Doomfist is the pick, that's kind of healthy. I think that's kind of what we want. But yeah, sometimes they go a little bit overboard, as they've been known to do. Any other thoughts on that kind of general discussion on balancing for the ranks before we move on?
Like you were talking about how they're like patching faster, but I don't really feel like the patches come out faster. They're kind of just throwing more changes. Like I don't think it was the previous patch, but the patch before that, they're like, okay, let's nerf Ana, Ashe, Baptiste, Junkrat, McCree, Moira, Orisa, on Pharah, Symmetra, Widowmaker's area, like buff and like nerf almost 1/3 of the heroes to like try to think of, okay, if we nerf this hero, then this hero is gonna be even better. So we should nerf that already instead of waiting to see what happens. Like try to kind of guess what's gonna be the prominent hero and go as far back on the chain as they can.
And do you prefer that?
I live that chaotic life in lower ranks, man, right? So I don't know. I'm okay with it. Go for it. Try it. It happens, man. Take some risks, Jeff. Go for it, bro.
Yeah,
I really want to
think
make a
this game
bame.
really needs risks. Like in the end, even in Overwatch League, it's still like I think it would still be very fun to watch, if not even more fun to watch, if the meta would shift more rapidly and it would look different. But obviously, it's kind of unfair to the players to suddenly throw them into a new meta right before. That
Don't know what that was all about.
that's the
Sorry, that
doorbell.
was my Jeff hotline. Sorry. Yo, what's up, Jeff? No, okay, we won't shit talk you anymore. Got it. Okay. No, I was really wanting to make a Bane pun there because when Arg was like, give me some chaos, Bane was like, you merely adopted the shadows. I was born in them. He's like, the chaos, I'm already born in here. But yeah, Arg, you all right? Is everything good? Yeah.
Yes, it was just the doorbell.
Oh, okay. Funky doorbell then. Funky doorbell. Carrie, anything to add on that? Then everything Arg has kind of pointed to there.
I mean, but like, what do you mean, like, by when you say that, like, you want fast, like, his Arg says he doesn't think they're patching faster, just think that they're just making random changes. It's like, then like, what would you like to see though? Like, if every month a patch came out, which I think that's decent enough, right? Like before, it would be 3 months for a new patch. At least that's how it used to be, and so now I think having a month patch is like a great. I think it's good enough because like you still have like a couple weeks to get some data off of what you need to change next. But it's like, what else would you like to see them change though? If they're coming with one every month, I'm just curious.
Like for like what I meant with like they're not like patching that much faster technically because it's like when they did that one patch, it was like, okay, we just hard nerf shields and see what happens. And now they're like, okay, we hard nerf this, and then this will be too strong. Let's nerf that too, and just try to kind of nerf everything across the board. Like, what was the question?
I guess like
Okay.
what would you like to see? Because it seemed like what would you like to see them start doing changes? Like it seems like you have a problem with it. No.
I think they're going into. I think they're going into a better direction, but I think something they should do is like they've been trying to be more open with how to like what kind of changes they're trying out, but they should also try to include people. Like there's, for example, Samito is always making his rant videos on Twitter about this is what we need to do and the game is fixed. So then they're like, well, let's try it out. Let's see how Samito's meta would do. Put that in the experimental and like try to listen to the community. Maybe at least like make like there was this suggestion a while back. I don't know whose suggestion it was to like make like this, how is it said, committee of players who will like discuss these changes and like they would put these changes like, do you guys think this kind of change would be good, or if not, what else? Like that kind of stuff. Just listening to the community more would be extremely good for the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're watching, Jeff, our DMs are open and we are free. I would love to see Samito meta. That's a hilarious
Samito match just comes out.
Samito. That's basically Hanzo meta. That's why Arg is advocating for the Samito meta, because it's Hanzo meta. But okay. I'm gonna change the topic now. So we kind of talked about balance changes and all that. I wanna take us in a slightly different, potentially controversial topic. But I think this is something that everyone in sort of every rank associates with in some level. Smurfs. Smurfs. What is the deal? Do we think how much of a problem do we think they are? And how do we feel about the problem in general? Like how annoying is it? Do you think it's fine? Do you think there should be a solution? If what is the solution?
I can start. Carrie
Yeah, go for it.
No, you can go.
Well, like not gonna lie, I know I got a lot of accounts. I've been playing this game for like such a long time. You know, you have to do those unranked GM hands-on challenges once a year at least to, to get that growth. Like it's I think it's a scumbag move. It's a scumbag move to make a second account. I got a lot of time. I'm a scumbag. I accept it. I'd rather have it so that you can only have one account, because it ruins the game for everyone. Like I go to I play in like masters, let's say 3.7k. It's gonna be way harder than a top 500 game most of the time, because there's always gonna be that 4.6k Widowmaker in the enemy team that's just gonna completely change how the match works. It, it's just not good. Like the lower you go in rank, the worse the more unbalanced the games are gonna feel because of Smurfs.
Yeah, I just don't like him.
Like
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Like, I wanted to still add, like, for example, I feel like the only time it would be kind of like socially acceptable, in my opinion, is like, for example, I want to like see how fast I could climb without like on like hit scan only, or like without playing hands. So if I just play every other DPS, so then it's like, am I really gonna go practice on my 4.5k Smurf account that I climbed to 4.5k with Hanso? Like, then it's like the flip side of the coin. It's like I should have a second account where I try these other heroes.
Bame, I'm gonna throw it to you because you look so sad during this Smurf discussion. You're just like, man.
You just hope they're on your team, I guess, right, dude? I mean, it's just so awful sometimes. Like, just really bad games. I've like, was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago? It's like, oh, every game was less than like 8 minutes, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But it's like, who the hell is this guy playing down here, right? I just like, man, they're gonna be Plat someday, you know. I don't know. I don't think you can control it. I think it'll happen. People get accounts. It's really tough. It makes the game not fun very often, and it's especially down in the lower ranks. Like, if someone's really really good and we're down there, like, dude, we can barely like, just handle a legit silver bastion, let alone
Bastion Man himself.
just Hanzo down here, just lighting us all up. It makes for really terrible games. I don't know how you stop it. It's really bad sometimes. At least it's usually a quick one, right? Like, you're gonna lose it fast, and then it's on to the next. It's just, as you guys can imagine, right? Like, it's awful. You see it. I don't know if you may see it more in the higher ranks than down by me, but
yeah.
I like that at least Arrge is using it for hit scans, perhaps, and not just clicking heads on Hanzo the whole time. Like, I kind of understand that, right? Because you don't want to work on your Hanzo. Like, maybe you don't want to be a Hanzo one trick one day, right? You might want to work on Widowmaker, perhaps. And if you have a Smurf account for that, I see.
Yeah. So at this point, I think we should disambiguate the two terms. I think Smurfs and alts are two different terms that we should probably separate between. So for anyone watching, Smurf, at least historically, is the term reserved for someone who's deliberately manipulating their SR, so like deliberately throwing games, deliberately losing games, to bring it down to a lower level, so then they can pub stomp and smash people for fun or for content or whatever. That's what you would call, let's say, a bronze to GM challenge, right? Where you deliberately either buy an account that's in bronze or you push an account down to bronze and then start climbing up. An alt is just meant to be another account that someone has. Now, alts can have many different purposes. So you can have like an alt for practicing a new hero, or you might have an alt to play with certain friends, or content creators might have an alt because they don't want to be recognized on their main. And I would say, to kind of finish that topic, I'd say Smurfs are probably definitely never acceptable. Alts are sometimes acceptable, I think, depending on their circumstances. So with that, I think, carry over to you.
Yeah, like I remember because when I was in Masters, I wanted to play with my friends who were in like gold. So I just made another account, and just so that account was so I could play with my friends in gold. And like this was all when I was playing Mercy, and so I did my placements on that separate account playing Mercy, and I placed like gold. I'm like, okay, because like there's only I don't know. I don't think I actually don't think I still deserved Masters, but it was like I'm a Mercy player. I don't. It's like I was still losing games in gold. Like there's only, and so some people were like, "It's a Smurf." I'm like, I don't think it is. Just because like I wasn't ruining anyone's games. I was actually just I was losing SR on that second account because like there's only so much I can do to affect a win as a Mercy player, you know. And so it was just so I can play with my friends and like. But no, I mean I just it is annoying when you have a Smurf because it's just like he's just better and it's like a level like 30 and it's like you're playing in diamond or like high plat and everyone else is diamond and he's just on ranked 30 level account. You're like, okay, yeah, I don't know, man. Like and so you're just like, well, I mean, it just sucks. Like there's not much you can do about it except maybe just try to beat him. But like, I mean, yeah, it's just that realization where you're like, yep, okay, well, yeah. And like I know like some people may think that like it's not as big of an issue as like some people think it is. And I think that's just part of his like I don't know what the word for it's called. It's like it's I think it's like data bias or something like that, where it's like the people who do get Smurfs complain about it a lot. And the people who don't get
Yeah,
Smurfs
like
just
confirmation bias, right?
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to spell that out, what Carrie's talking about is if you think Smurfs are in all your games, the minute you see a low-level account, you assume it's a Smurf, and therefore you think, God, another Smurf in my game. It's like 1 in every 2 games or something, and you forget about the 8 games you play afterwards where there isn't a Smurf, or you know you always overestimate the idea. So because you think it, you start to see it more, basically. Yeah, Arrge, I think you have something to add.
Yeah, like bame. I always say it in Finnish, bame. like it's you said that like in higher ranks it's even big of a problem. Like that's like I'd say that below diamond it's not that big of a problem. Like in below diamond you would only have like these people that intentionally lose games to drop down to stomp. But like also before you could place a fresh account. If you win all placements you get really good stats. I believe you could almost place GM immediately on a fresh account.
I think the
But
highest you
now
could get is Master.
oh yeah, it could have been 3.5, but now they reduced it to like max you can get is pretty much diamond.
Yeah.
So it's just I feel like that was a really big mistake in terms of it's gonna make more of these more like diamond players also have to suffer from what used to be just like a master rank problem with all these Smurfs. And like I feel like the smurfing is a smaller problem the higher you go in ranks because the skill difference gets smaller. So I feel like it made diamond games really horrible. It's like I see my friends playing diamond. It's like, oh, there's a level 25 DPS who has like 75% widow weapon accuracy with almost 50 headshots in one match. Like okay, it's like, what is that fun? Why don't they immediately put him to masters at that point? Give 500 extra SR. Like that's obviously a ridiculous skill difference at that point. They made it such a long grind to actually get a new account up. Like I admit, like I felt bad every time that I made an alt account. And like it's like, okay, I have 5 accounts in top 500, and now I want one account where I don't have to stress so much. And then it's like, okay, now I have to stomp low level people, and they're just gonna be upset that I'm gonna be feeling bad, and I feel like it's coming.
Scumbag.
Maybe I should just not even do this and just. But then I'm gonna be the scumbag in hierarchy. It's like, okay, if I don't feel like I'm at my best, am I still gonna play on my top 500 account when I know that my win rate is gonna be about 25% because I'm not playing at my best? Or am I just not gonna play? But then again, it's my job. So what am I gonna do? Am I just not gonna stream?
Hey guys, my job.
It's like, okay, well, it's such a tough choice, especially when you like stream the game for a living. I'm either gonna ruin top 500 games or low rank games if I make a new account.
Yeah, again, it's like it's very complex because there's, again, so many factors to it. I think definitely there's a very legitimate reason to have an alt. Like you said, if you want to practice a hero, like for example, I have, and again, maybe people think I'm biased because I have several accounts as well, but though I've been top 500, I am mechanically the most I'm just garbage basically, particularly compared to the ranks I've been at. Right? I'm just not very good mechanically. And I haven't been top 500 GM for quite a few seasons. So when I make a new account and play DPS, for example, and I did that on Reinhardt, so I didn't require any aim, and Winston. So when I play DPS, it really doesn't matter what rank I've been because my impact on the game is really low. I'm just a really bad DPS. So when I place a new account and he gets put in Plat, it probably deserves to be there or gold because I'm just that level of a DPS. So I think when you place an alt on a role you're not familiar with, I think that's probably fair. Like, then it comes down to the ladder system. Like, how good is the ladder system at judging you? Like you said, if there's like a dude who's 60% scoped accuracy on Widowmaker, and they're placing a new account, and the ladder system doesn't immediately put them in Masters, that's the ladder system's fault and not this player. Provided that player is just playing normally, they're just like, well, I made a new account and I want to practice Widowmaker. I can't help it if I'm good, and put me in a higher rank, put me where I should be. So there's that aspect of it. Then there's the aspect of the true smurfing, which is, like you said, Arrge, like it's much more of an issue in Plat and below because that's the only place someone would deliberately throw their SR to get down there. Now the question of how many people are there doing that's something that we can never really figure out. Like, we don't really have a way of knowing what percentage of people are deliberately, like what percentage of new accounts that you see in your game are deliberately throwing to get there. Like how many people deliberately threw, or what often happens, and this is why I see a lot, is people in gold, for example, they see a new account and they automatically assume that it's like some master GM smurf. And the mental aspect of it is, I think, another big part of seeing a new account and thinking, shit, we lost. That's it. That guy's too good. They're probably like 3 ranks higher than me, and it's over. When the likelihood is that they might just be a player 1 rank above you, or they might even be the same rank on a new account. So it's a lot of variables. It's hard to say definitively, right? You really don't know, basically. But I think half the blame lies in the ladder system, in not always correctly identifying where someone should be. If it was better, I think it would do a better job.
They're a little bit aggressive, a bit more aggressive on like how quickly they can pick up a Smurf. Like if this guy places gold and then he immediately just like dominates, it's like, I feel like it takes a couple of games of domination where the system's like, oh wait, this guy should be higher. Like I feel like it should be a lot more aggressive where like then they like, this guy dominates. Like maybe like 2 games he dominates. Okay, well we'll try putting him like 2 ranks above gold. Like maybe we'll start playing him against diamond and see how well he does. And if he does all right, then okay, then maybe he does belong in diamond. And it's just gonna very aggressively increases SR level to that, or is MMR. I just wish they did that. Yeah.
I like the below diamond there is the performance based skill rating. You get extra skill rating if you have good stats, but I think the problem is that, like, let's say there's a 60% weapon accuracy Widowmaker on both teams. So even though the guy is dominating, he still loses. So then the game just counts as, okay, well, I guess we'll place you 500 SR lower than that just because you lost the match, even though the other guy was just another top 500 player as well. So like, I feel like it, like, I don't know, maybe they even do this. I just don't know, but like they could also like not compare your stats versus other people in same rank, but also compare your stats versus other players in the enemy team to kind of figure out, did this guy lose because he belongs into this rank, or because there was someone in the enemy team who was also a top 500 player who forced him to lose, no matter how well he plays.
Yeah, I think the way the game approaches new accounts is, again, I don't want to be too harsh here because I have no clue how the what the best way is, but I think the problem is it adjusts off sometimes silly things. So for example, just like last week or this week, I'm trying Mercy only on an account, and I've never played Mercy some shit, and I placed like logo or like I think like mid to low gold, and then I won like 3 games, and I went nearly to diamond, and I lost 2 games, and now I'm back. Now I'm like near silver, and it's like I shouldn't necessarily just be the losses and the wins that making me fluctuate 100 SR, because let's say I am a GM level Mercy player, right, and I'm really good and I've got this new account, I will still lose games. Like even as a GM level Mercy, I will still lose. It could be anything. It could be a GM level Widow, like you said, and I might still lose a game or two. And I think the game is silly to then knock me 100 SR, because what it's going to force then is me to have to win 4 games later, where I'm clearly better than everyone else in my lobby, and I'm going to have to ruin 4 games to get back to the thing I should be. And it's like, surely the game has enough stats to know this guy is like a master level Widowmaker. Just because he lost a game doesn't mean that we should kick him back 100 SR on this new account. And it's like, I think that little bit of common sense should be applied to new accounts. Although I should add that in most cases, the game tends to boost newer accounts. Because I'll wait to get your response before I move on to the slightly next topic. But yeah, Arrge, I feel like you were trying to say something.
Yeah, like that's that thing with like, it's like for example, like I once, it's like it was the biggest meme ever back then. Like I did a new account and I lose like 2 of my first placement games in gold because there was like the enemy player was also smurfing, and it would keep putting us into the same game 2 games in a row, and then I just lost them both. So then it decides just based on those 2 games that I'm just not good at the game, even though like they should include quick play in that, like quick play MMR, like before I could place, I leveled it up by playing quick play, and I would have like half an hour long queue times because my quick play MMR was so high up that like then I go into these games and everyone is like a top 500 Smurf leveling their accounts tryharding. So like I don't understand why they wouldn't include quick play in there, and just like kind of just try to boost the new accounts to their right rank as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Bame, I haven't heard from you in a while. Just wondering if you have any thoughts on all this.
I've only got 1 account, man, so I don't know how your alts, I guess, alt accounts. I don't really know how that works. I placed in silver. I was dog or really bad, I guess, and my video settings were bad or whatever. But I placed in silver probably too high. Then I went down to bronze, and then roll queue happened, and then I fixed my video settings and I did really well. But that was right before roll queue, so my support and my DPS and my tank all placed at like 600 SR, right? Well, I fixed my video settings. I climbed with my ball, and then I go try my support and my DPS are still low bronze. I can't get out. I've been stuck for like a year, man, and I feel like, dude, I can't be this dog shit at DPS and support, right? And like I can't get out, man. I feel like I've probably learned the game a bit since a year ago. I don't get it, man. I don't. Maybe am I getting penalized because my tank's like silver, gold, and I don't know. I really struggle with my low bronze. I can't get out. I don't think I've been above 1,000 SR in over a year on those other guys, even though I queue them up every time I play. I don't get it. It's weird, man.
Yeah, that's definitely a topic I want to come on to right after this, which is kind of the MMR system, MMR versus SR, and the ladder system in general. I think, Carrie, do you have anything to add on sort of what's been discussed?
No, not really.
No? Arge?
No, not right.
No? What I just want to add is that, yeah, I think, so what I mean by, I think the matchmaking usually tends to boost new accounts, in that I get a lot of people messaging me about like, SVB, I'm stuck in, like, my main account is Plat, but my new alt account got put in diamond. Does that mean I'm diamond? Does that mean I'm secretly diamond or whatever? And I would say that, yeah, I think the SR system usually boosts new accounts. But I think where it's probably flawed is that it doesn't actually push hard enough on the accounts that are clearly better than where they should be, as opposed to accounts which are just kind of being put roughly in the area. So with that out the way, I do now want to move on to MMR, SR, and I'll trigger this topic with an open-ended question. Do you think the ladder system is working as intended?
For the most part, I don't know if that's like, I don't know. It just seems like, yeah, there's like some false positives, but it's like, it's such a complicated, like Outbound, like trying to see how good a player is so difficult across so many different heroes. And like, like it's so complicated. And it's just like, I think like I mean, obviously they're trying the best, but it's like, I think that there are some things that we would want, like, oh, maybe we want this to happen or this would be nice. And like, I think at least from I think I have a very limited perspective, but I think like at least from my perspective, like on Plat and whatnot, I think it's doing a decent job. But like, doesn't mean it could be better. But yeah, I just don't know how it could be better. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Like I was saying before, I think my really low ranks are broke. I just feel like if I was in silver on those accounts, I'd win and lose just as much. But the math just seems really weird to me, and the placement seems really weird when you get really low. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but to me, like, it just doesn't make sense.
Arrge?
Well, I think it like the system works well. The biggest problem is just people that make new accounts, and then there's like the one trick situation. You one trick a hero to high rank, and then your hero gets nerfed, and then you kind of gonna pull people back. And like I've coached a couple people into higher ranks, and like the big problem is always that they're missing the consistent mindset. Like if you're a Plat player and you're stuck in bronze, most like pretty much every time the problem is that okay, they're popping off, they're doing great, and then there's like a Smurf in one of their games and destroys their morale, and then they just keep playing, but they're just like, oh, I deserve to win that game, but there was this guy in the enemy team, or my teammate was playing a hero that got nerfed or something, and it affects their next game. So then they're gonna lose the next game as well. So like if it's like people expect to climb as fast as some streamer that's doing bronze to GM, but the fact is, it's like if you're a GM player and you drop to mid masters, you're probably not gonna make it to GM back to GM in less than 100 games or 200 games. But it's gonna be a matter like you could literally drop all the way back down from GM to mid masters in one day. It's gonna take 100 games to fix that, unless you're like a top 500 player.
Yeah, I think this sort of theme that you're touching on there is that to climb to the next rank, you have to be either really like way better than that next rank, or you have to grind for a long time because
Yeah.
let's say you're gold and you're actually at a platinum level. For the difference in your gameplay to tell over other people who are in gold and only slightly worse than you, again, just by law of averages and mathematics, you have to play many games for that slight difference to manifest itself over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like there's different heroes have like different, like if you're a mercy main, it's gonna be very hard to climb in low ranks because all you can do is just play perfect every single match, and you're still only gonna win about 55% of your games. So every 20 games you're gonna gain 25 SR.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. I want to touch on what Bame has kind of talked about there with his account being stuck. At this point, I think it would be helpful to kind of illustrate the idea of MMR versus SR for any of you listening or watching who don't know. So, MMR is what is I think I've forgotten what it stands for, but I think it's like matchmaking rating, right? That's the term. So basically, that is what the game thinks you belong. So you might be a 2000. Your current SR might be 2000. But the game might think that you're actually 3000 SR, like you belong in Diamond. Now, your current SR will fluctuate with wins and losses sometimes rapidly, whereas MMR tends to be a lot more rigid, a lot more difficult to move, because that's Blizzard, using sophisticated systems, has judged that this is where this player is actually belonging. So if your MMR is higher than your SR, it's likely that the game will try and quickly get you back up to that rank, and it will try and give you. So for example, a lot of people might say, I go 50-50 SEB and I somehow lose 3 SR or I lose 5 SR. That happens when the game basically thinks you're already at your MMR or you're above your MMR. So what the game is basically saying is, I don't think this player actually deserves to be higher. So when they go 50-50, I'm going to try and pull them a little bit back down to where I think they should be. And similarly, if they think you should be higher, they'll probably give you that 3 extra SR to try and get you just that little bit higher, a little bit closer to where it thinks you should be. So with new accounts, the benefit is that your MMR is a clean slate. So the game isn't necessarily forcing you to a certain area. Whereas what Bame is experiencing is that because he's had an account for, let's say, a year, and he's still learning the game, he's not comfortable with all the heroes he wants to be comfortable with. The game thinks, well, this is a player who has, for as long as I've known this player, they've been 600 SR roughly. So I don't see why suddenly overnight this player has become a 1500 SR player. So whenever Bame goes 50-50, likely the game is just going to try and pull him back down towards the 600 SR, because it thinks, well, that's the level he's at, right? And convincing the game that you deserve that higher MMR, that you deserve to climb more, is difficult. It takes a long time of slow incremental change to get the game to believe that you're actually better than you are. And I know I'm rambling, but I just want to add one more thing to this before I let someone else feedback. But the other fundamental problem with that is that with Overwatch being a team game, with there being 5 other people in your team and 11 other people in the lobby, the difference that you make to every game is relatively minute. And people often talk about like what the percentages are of how much impact you can have in a game. And people say something like 50% of the games are you can't have an effect on, 25% of the games you've lost, and there's 25% of the games that you can win. Now, whatever the precise numbers are, no one really knows. But the problem is that, yeah, you can't win every game, and you can only make a difference in so many games. So even if you play 100 games, quite a large number of those, you just can't do enough as an individual to win. So you're left with a smaller sample to make a difference in, to show your higher SR, to show your higher skill, to try and climb. So rant over, it's complicated basically, but those are hopefully hopefully I've illustrated some of the reasons why it can take a long time to get to where you think you should be.
Yeah, I'm curious as to because at least for me, I climbed from bronze, then over 3.5 seasons I went up to masters, and then I decayed down to diamond, and now I'm in mid-high plat. It's I don't know what the fuck my MMR is over that journey, and it's I'm curious as to see what it is right now, or because I remember I was in masters and then I just didn't play comp, so I decayed all the way down to 3000 SR. And then I played one game and it jumped up to 3200, obviously because the MMR thought I was doing masters, so I was trying to get me back up there. But then I just kept dropping. I mean, I don't know, rank. I just kept I lost maybe one game more than I won, and so it just kind of fell down to high plat, mid plat, and I'm just chilling here right now. And it's I'm curious as to what my MMR is. It's just I've been on a very unique journey, I would say, and so it's I'm just curious as to how the matchmaking system has handled my SR or MMR. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's slow climbing makes it harder to have a consistent mindset that you play at the same level. It requires such a strong mental to accept that you just can't win some games. But the MMR system basically expects that you're an emotionless shell that doesn't get affected by the previous games. But
so you're saying my mental is the reason my support and DPS are low, Arrge?
It could be, or it could even be stream snipers. Who knows? It doesn't even have to be. It could be not mean stream sniping. It could be maybe there is someone who's in same rank as you and watches you and then snipes you, and then they're just so excited to play with you that it causes you to causes them to play a tiny bit worse, which shifts your win rate back by 1% in the long run. And this is gonna make you feel even more discouraged, and then you feeling more discouraged is gonna make you play a tiny bit worse, which is gonna push your win rate back by another 1 or 2%, and it's like a cycle, and it slowly adds up. It's very complicated.
My
It's
question
like
to you, Bame, would be, sorry, go ahead. My question to Bame would be, how many games, let's say a week, do you play on support or DPS?
So I queue up most of the time. I queue up everything. I get tank games. When I
Yeah, I feel you.
really at tank games, then I'll swap to support or DPS just to,
So as a rough estimate, okay, let's say in a week, how many tank or how many DPS and support games do you think you play?
I would say I play 60% tank, and like
I mean, like a number. Could you give me like a number, like 10 games, 20 games, 30 games, 100 games?
I can look.
Just a rough. It doesn't have to be precise by any means. Like,
yeah, well, it can be hard to kind of estimate, and especially
suppose so.
depending.
I don't look at those metrics. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Game
No,
has-
take your time.
so he might play less on some weeks.
No, I don't know. I play I probably average playing Overwatch 4 hours a day every day. So one of you guys can probably do that math.
Okay, well, let's assume this way. So 4 hours a day, you said about 60% of your games are tanks. So we're looking at like 250 roughly. Now, yeah, I completely lost track there. So yeah, 4 hours a day. Let's say how many games are we gonna? The problem is the DPS queues are significantly longer than tank queues. So let's say it takes you half an hour to get a game on DPS.
Oh
Or
no,
how long?
8 minutes on DPS and
8
like
minutes.
5 minutes on support.
Okay,
And
8
tank is
minutes.
instant.
Yeah, tank is instant. So 4 hours, we're looking at 10 minutes wait time. I wish I was better at maths, guys. I wish I was better at maths. Okay, let's say, so let's say 20 games. Okay, let's say you play 20 games a week on DPS. Okay, here we go. Calculator's coming out. Okay, I'll let you work the maths out. Well, I'll make the point I was going to make, basically. Let's say you play 10 games for argument's sake. Let's say you play 10 games a week on DPS. Now, if you're a good DPS, you'll maybe have a 55% win rate or 60%. You're really good DPS, probably have a 60% win rate. Now, what does 60% win rate mean when you play 10 games? Well, it means you won 6 games, lost 4, so you have a net gain of 2. So you gain 50 SR over that period, assuming 25. So in a week, you only gain 50 SR. So if you play for a month, you've only gained 100 SR. You've not even gained 1 rank, right? So now you have to play for 5 months just to gain 1 rank on a 60% win rate, which is you dominating. That 60% means you've dominated most of your lobbies. So to climb 1 rank, it would take you 5 months of playing really well. Now mix in the days when you play badly. Mix in the days when you pick a hero you're not as good at as the other hero you're normally carrying on, right? Mix in the days that you're tired. Now you've got so many variables that make it so hard that unless you're actually grinding a lot of games over a long period of time, it becomes difficult to actually make that journey, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the point is that I think that's the thing, that's the beauty and the beast of Overwatch, is that it's great that it's a team game. I love that it's a team game. But at the same time, if it was just frag, me, kill stuff game, you'd also climb a lot more consistently, a lot more in line with how good you are. So I think that's kind of the fundamental issue with it.
Yeah, like I'd give Bame like at least 55% win rate, maybe, but it's like even if it's 55% win rate on support, that's 20 games for 25 SR, and if in those 20 games you lose even 1 game that you were supposed to win, like maybe your doorbell rang, so you ran to open the door and then you lose the game, then you need to play 20 games to make up for that. It's an extremely long process. Like, I guess SVB wanted to know the exact numbers to kind of figure out, like, is it really, like, maybe it's the same problem that I was talking about, like people expect to climb so fast, but it's extremely slow to climb. It's so easy to drop, and then it's so hard to fix that. But like SVP said, like if you're on a fresh account, you can just like boom, just play good for one day and you're gonna get insane SR climbing.
Yeah, and I think that that's the other problem is that because of that consequence, it's actually very easy to go 50-50 in Overwatch, provided you're not like completely way below where the rank you're playing at. So a lot of people get a new account, get put in Plat, for example, and going 50-50 is not super difficult. Or even if you're going 45%, again, the same math applies. To actually drop a rank, it'll take a long time. So this is one of the phenomenon why people often feel like my new account got to this higher rank. Does that not mean I deserve it? Maybe, but maybe it's also the fact that, like I said, it's just easier to not throw than it is to carry, basically.
Mhm.
Speaking of
There's
carry, any thoughts? Sorry, I'll go back to Ari after that.
No, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's just a whole like mess of a situation where it's just like, I don't know. I to be honest, the only thing I was really gonna mention is the fact that it's like I don't think we'll ever know like the intricacies of how this thing works. But it's like it just seems like it's a lot more complicated than like maybe I think most people realize. Like I'm sure that the devs just like whenever you hear feedback on the matchmaking system, like they're just like you don't get it. Like there's just so much you don't understand, and like it just seems like yeah, we could definitely try to change some things, but I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass at this point. It seems like.
No, I think
No,
it's very complicated. I agree with that in general. Like I don't understand it. It seems weird to
and
me.
of course there's no reason for them to ever tell you, because if they told you how it works, everyone would game it. So you as us as the ordinary players will and should never know, basically, is the point. But Arge, sorry, I cut you off there, so go ahead.
I was gonna say that like there's also the psychological effect of playing on an alt account. Is like you don't stress as much, so you have more space in your brain for what's happening in the game because you're not stressing up. Oh God, I'm on a win streak now. I'm one win away from Masters, and like it's like it just lets you relax more. You're just focused on the game. You have more space in your brain to make better decisions and to like see more what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
Like I think that like the best way to prove that is like pretty much everyone who's like climbing to a higher rank for the first time, they're always gonna lose that last game before getting to like from diamond to masters. Like I remember like season 2, like everyone started in plat, so like it took me like 10 tries to win the diamond to masters game because of just the pressure that made me play worse.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads me to my next question, and we're all kind of in awe of how complicated the system is. So maybe no one will stick their neck out. But do we need an MMR reset, an SR reset? This is something the community always asks for. How do we feel?
I don't think so, dude. I think people don't realize what it's gonna entail. Like
Yeah.
it's got like there for like one, if not 2 seasons, the ranks is gonna be all over the place, and it's like, and there's gonna be people who are like, once the dust settles, there gonna be some people who are like, I deserve to be higher, but it's like, well, it's an MR reset. Like, I mean, like some people just like wouldn't like the fact that they got lower than before, or some people got higher than before. And it's just like, I mean, I think it's good that they're doing MR reset for like the higher ranks, but at least for like the majority of people, it's like it's more trouble than it's worth. It seems like, yeah.
I just think it would be some guy will take his 5 accounts, throw to bronze, and see if he can get 100 eliminations in a game or something. Like you're brutal down here, man. It would be brutal. I just don't. It sounds like it'd be awful.
Yeah,
How to
like
get?
I'd say it's like it's like a waste of data to like do an MMR reset because like let's say you just throw everyone into this one big pot. There's like a bame on his bronze support role, and then you put ML7 into the same match on support role. And it's like, oh well, I wonder who's gonna win, and it's just it wouldn't even like, so a lot of people, like let's say ML7, there's like he for example, I think he has more accounts than me, like probably like 20 accounts or something. Like if you drop those all, and then it's like there's gonna be so many Smurf accounts, and it's gonna take, I wouldn't even think there's 2 seasons. It would take literally like 3 years for ranked to stabilize if we just suddenly reset MMR.
Yeah. And there was that brief period when they flirted with a soft MMR reset, and if you remember, Choyobin got put in gold, and that was like a whole shit show, right? Because this is an Overwatch League level player getting put in gold, so like, unfortunately, it's like,
Sure, he played a game against me.
quite possibly, right? And that's the thing, is it's very difficult. I don't at all envy Blizzard's job, because think about all the variables that happen even within you as a player, right? Like we spoke earlier, you might have a main role. How good are you on your second character, right? How good are you playing that day? How good is your team at synergizing with the heroes that you play, right? Like if you're a Reinhardt player, if you happen to get put with a Lucio player or Zarya player, you're gonna do a lot better than if you happen to get put with a Mercy and a Zen player, right? And then, so all these variables make it super impossible to figure out how even one person is doing it any little snapshot of time if you just were to try and figure it out. Now imagine putting that all in for 12 players at the same time, all kind of jumbling together, where it's like you have this guy who's actually should deserve to be a top 500 Widowmaker player, but he happens to be up against a really good Winston player who's countering him that one specific game. So there's so many variables. I don't envy it, and the problem is that if we reset stuff, all those variables will come back all at once, and yeah, that's a shit show. But go ahead.
Right now, what if you got to the point where you had a silver border around your name? You could choose to reset your own personal MMR. Maybe if you put enough time in, you think, hey man, I think Jeff's got me stuck down here. Let me try to just kind of restart this whole thing and go for it. Like, is that maybe something? It wouldn't be all chaotic at once, but maybe like, hey, if I could have that option, I'd go for it now. Roll the dice and see what happens, right? I put my time in, right, with that silver border.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Because also they could. It's easier to compare like your MMR to everyone else's, because of the rest of the ranked ladders are established. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't. There's probably maybe like if a dev has an idea of like actually that's a bad idea, they might explain why. But at least right now, it seems like not bad of an idea. Yeah.
Maybe have certain criteria for who is allowed to have, like, congratulations, you reached gold border. You can have one reset if you want, or something like that.
Hard to do it like you can't ever have been reported for toxicity, or maybe a super low number of reports, or like
you can just link it. You can just link it to SMS system, like the way they do for top 500. Like you have to have an SMS verified account. Before you, so that people can't like rampantly abuse it, for example. Yeah, at the top of my head, I can't think of like a major flaw with it. I'm sure someone somewhere is like, no, that would be disastrous for this reason that we haven't thought of. But theoretically, you could just buy a new account and do that, achieve the same purpose, right? So I don't see why we shouldn't incentivize the people who have played a long time in the game to just be like, hey, I know you feel like you're stuck a little bit. Here you go, have a free reset. It's like a new account. Go for it.
They could even like look at stats to try to figure out people that are most affected by this type of like MMR SR difference that will make them be stuck in this rank.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I think it's a good idea, to be honest. I'm just figuring out if there's some major gap we've missed here, but it's certainly something worth throwing out there, I think.
Maybe even just make it cost the same amount as buying a new account. That would already Blizzard wouldn't lose money, and like then no one would buy another account. So I don't know. I'd say like $40 MMR reset. Someone says like that.
Yeah,
that's a good business model, I'd say.
MMR resets for everyone. Buy your way. Now, I think I'd like the idea that it's tied to a level rather than money. I think because it's the same concept as like allowing a name change, right? It's like you get one free name change with your account. You get one free MMR reset with your account. When you reach this threshold. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
Like
I think it's
someone
all.
in the
Go ahead.
someone in the chat said that like it would make Plat horrible because like everyone would get stacked up in there from
true.
lower ranks. So then I guess it would then ruin kind of the platinum rank, which is I don't know. I'm not sure, but is Plat like the rank already where there's the most players? Like it's the average, or
Well,
is that gold?
I'll bring it up. It's actually gold. I have a little bar chart here. It's gold is I believe. Let me have a look at the exact number. So gold is 32% of the player base. Plat is 25%. Silver 21%. Diamond 10%. Bronze 8%. Masters 3%. Grandmasters 1%.
Yeah.
So gold is the most. So this actually leads nicely to the what is the grand question that I wanted to ask at some point in this debate. Because I was going to say, because you said that would make Plat horrible. I was going to say, isn't Plat already horrible? And that leads me to my question. What is the worst rank? What is the worst rank? Anyone want to stick their neck out?
I can stick my
Yeah, go ahead.
So like, like personally for me, the most horrible is literally just like that 3.9k to 4k, because that just seems like it's all the boosters, all the hackers. It's all stacked up into this 100 SR tiny gap. It's just ridiculous. It's like I'd say that like objectively the worst is just anything above diamond all the way to mid GM, because that's where it's gonna be all like the least balanced games with like all these Smurf accounts and alt accounts. Technically lower ranks shouldn't be like worse. Like it should, like at least in terms of climbing out, in anything below Plat should be easier to climb out of than after that.
Yeah, like just to add to that, what Arrge is basically saying is like, if you think about it, every time a top 500 player makes a new account, provided they're not deliberately throwing, going back to the Smurf discussion, provided they're not deliberately manipulating their SR, every single one of them has to go from diamond back to top 500 to climb to where they belong. So therefore, every single top 500 with a new account has to make that journey, making diamond and master and low GM potentially miserable. But carry, Bame, obviously, I think you guys will probably disagree on that assessment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like come off as like preachy, but like as someone who has gone from bronze to masters, I would say like I think like silver is like the worst. I mean, gold's a close second. I just think just because like the lack of like coordination and like people are there not necessarily to win. People are. I don't think it's the most toxic. I just think that it's frustrating to climb out of, which again may be a different definition than what other people are thinking of when they say the worst rank. But like, it's just difficult to like maintain a normal win rate. I feel like it down in silver. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of nice when you get up to gold because people like you kind of can get heals sometimes, right? That's kind of fun. And just kind of like basic life things that are good, like you get up there. Silver versus bronze. I don't know. My bronze games have been garbage, so I'd say bronze sucks worse than silver, and I like gold better than silver. But man, you're talking about that stuff you're talking about in Plat sounds pretty terrible to deal with too, though. So I don't know, man. I'm struggling.
It's a bit more toxic. I don't know if it's worse because more people are talking in team chat and people like generally are better at the game. So it's like it feels a bit more competitive. But when you do lose or like when you're not, yeah, it is more toxic. But no, yeah.
I don't really see hackers down here though, at least, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's like
I guess like
anything above like a diamond above, that's where the hackers start showing up.
Yeah. So my personal perspective on this, and I've been through many ranks. I've played from gold all the way to top 500, and my assessment, and also having talked to lots of people, I think there's two ranks that stand out to me as really bad, and I'll spell out the reasons why. I think it's Plat and Master. And the reason why I think they're both melting pots of ranks, I think Plat has the largest diversity of actual skill within itself, because I think you have in Plat, you have people who are like diamonds and masters and even GMs sometimes who just drop down, for either because of a new account or just having lost games and all that stuff. And then you have people who are like basically gold level or maybe even silver level, and they've made their way to Plat. And genuinely, Plat is one of those games where it's a complete coin flip. One game you might get people who are who understand Overwatch League level tactics inherently, and then one game you'll get people who are like, what's ult economy, or what is a dive? I don't even know. So I think Plat for that reason is really bad. The pure variance of what level of player you're getting is impossible to predict, and also it's the most toxic rank. I think there's a lot of people who just have crazy egos in Plat. Masters, I think for the same reason as earlier with Plat, is a problem, because there's a lot of people who are failed GMs. There's the people who have dropped down from GM genuinely because they lost a few games. And then you get the people who are fundamentally diamond but happen to win a few games and they're low master. And it's such a melting pot again of different skill sets that I think those two ranks stand out to me as almost like gatekeeping, that you really have to grind a long time in both those ranks to get out. But of course, like I said, I haven't experienced silver, I haven't experienced bronze, so I can't speak from personal experience. But
it seems as if because to be honest, I remember because Plat was really toxic just because everyone wanted to get into diamond, and then once it got into diamond, I was like, this is surprisingly. It's almost as if it's like the eye of a hurricane, where it's everything around the hurricane is really stormy, but the eye of it is really calm. Plat and Masters are really toxic, but the middle diamond is just super calm because everyone's like, yeah, I made it. I'm doing pretty good. Then once you get the Masters, you're like, oh, I can make it to Grandmasters. And then you get really frustrated when you lose in Masters. You're like, God damn it, I'm so close to Grandmasters. And I think that's part of the reason why I think Masters are so toxic, just because you're one rank away from that prestigious GM, like in Plat, you're one rank away from that super prestigious diamond, where most people have never been diamond before, and it seems super cool because it's all shiny and stuff. So and at least before I used to have decay, that's when your rank started to decay. It just felt like the big boy ranks. So yeah, it just seems as if it's sandwiched. Diamond is sandwiched on both sides by these two toxic ranks.
yeah, and that's not to say that other ranks aren't toxic. Everyone watching has experienced toxicity no matter what rank they're in. I just think that for those reasons, like you said, I think that those two ranks have the most frustrated players, and that makes them the most toxic. And also, like I said, they just have the most variance. But Bame,
the fun just keeps building and building, huh?
Yeah, I mean, any thoughts on what we kind of said there, Bame?
It sounds terrible to me, man. I've never been there, dude, right? So I wouldn't know. But it sounds worse than what I'm dealing with. At least down here, people aren't talking to each other much and being very toxic. And if they are, it's oh, it's gold guy anyways. Who gives a shit what he thinks, right? Probably less. The egos aren't justified probably down where I'm at, right? So the toxicity, whatever, who cares? That's all I look at least. But if having the hodgepodge of really good and really bad players, all 12 of them in a game and seeing what happens, that sounds really frustrating at times.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of it. Arrge?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people saying in the chat and stuff that it's so hard to climb from bronze with Mercy, for example. And it's true. Your Mercy requires the teammates to do the killing, for example. But let's say depending on hero, let's say if I'm coaching a gold Hanzo main, or let's say silver Hanzo main, and then I fix their posture, mouse sensitivity, graphic settings, aiming style, and then they're just gonna be able to abuse the ridiculous amount of free space and the slow pace of the game that is below diamond, and it's gonna just skyrocket their climb because there's most DPS players, they're just stuck because let's say they bought their Razer mouse and they feel like they have to use that 36,000 DPI on their mouse because that's what they paid for, so they can't go to 800, so they're gonna be basically going with 25 times faster mouse speed than me, and they expect to get any results. Like like for DPS players, it's usually just mechanical problems that are stopping them in low ranks.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think obviously a lot of this is anecdotal, and everyone has their own individual experiences with what rank they cap out at. You know, everyone will, in terms of physically climbing out, everyone will find the rank just below or where they should be, basically the hardest, because it will be difficult to climb out of plat, like I said, if you're a low diamond player. But yeah, I do think that you can climb out of gold with enough mechanical expertise. Once you get to platinum, I don't think your mechanical like people at platinum are often mechanically very good. Like I've seen plat players who are mechanically very, very good and they can hit their shots and stuff, but they're just like they're brain dead basically, and they just don't understand the game. And similarly, like you get to masters and there's people who can hit shots for days, but they don't understand the game to a GM level, so they just forever be stuck there. Whereas yeah, diamond is a little bit more halcyon. It's a little bit more like, I think there's a good balance in diamond between people who can understand to a diamond level, play to a diamond level, and that's kind of fine. Or they skew one way or the other, where they understand to a plat level but play to a master level, and vice versa. So of course this is all personal opinion, but I think I've seen a lot of shit in the ranks, and I've talked to a lot of people who've seen a lot of shit, and that's my take on it. Any other thoughts from any Carrie? Anything to add?
No.
As the plat representative, just an amen.
No, not really.
Okay. Cool. Well, then I will take us to our concluding thoughts then. And I'll just ask a rather open-ended question. What would you like to change about the ladder system? Any one thing that you could change, what would you change? And I'll give you a second to think about it before anyone wants to volunteer to go first. And you can hear me pitter-patter on the keyboard.
Like, what would you change?
Could be anything. It could be like, oh, I want an MMR reset. I could be like, I want balancing to be slightly different. I want the thresholds to be different. I want the queue. We didn't even talk about like duoing and soloing. You might think you want the range to be larger, smaller, anything.
Having more aggressive toxicity countermeasurements. Because, like,
So-
I mean, yeah, I mean that's the only issue I think that I really have with the ranked right now. Like, so, but and it's not saying that like I personally get affected. If someone's like, you suck in team chat, I'm like, I mean, that's fine. I don't really get affected by it. Fucking, I've climbed so many ranks, I can brush it off. But it's like, I don't know, I can, but it's just, you know, I mean, doesn't mean toxicity doesn't suck. So like, I think like having more aggressive. Again, like obviously I say that and like the devs are going to be like, yeah, well, like what do you mean specifically? But I mean, it's just like I guess like if you report someone, I know they say like the report system, like please report, and because obviously it helps, but it's like maybe just more aggressive stuff like that. And the toxicity filters, I remember like Evil Toaster said like remember like if you type GG it'll automatically like rewrite it, so it'll say something else. It's like, why can't you just do that for like racial slurs or like really bad words, you know? Like it seems like a simple fix. Again, I'm not sure because I'm not game dev, but it seems like a very simple fix. Or it's like maybe, I guess, make the endorsement system more valuable, where it's like, but okay, I want to go a bit of a rant about the endorsement system, and like some people are just going to be like, you know, I played a comp game with some randoms, I'll just endorse them, why not? But it's like, I'm not going to endorse someone unless I know like they showed that they were good. Because like you could be like a super toxic person, but maybe you just didn't say anything that entire game. Someone just randomly gave you endorsement, you know? Because like you could just be super toxic, but if you just didn't happen to say anything that game, and you get like 3 endorsement ratings, you're like, awesome. But it's like, maybe, you know, it's like just, I guess, make it more special or something, or more incentive.
I'd reverse it. I'd make it so instead of saying good things about your teammates, you can say bad things. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's this guy's a hacker. Because does anyone really care if I'm a good support player or a shot caller? No, I'd rather want to know if a bunch of people think he's a hacker, right?
Well, if you do get avoided enough, it does come up with a little thing that says you've been avoided a lot. Be careful.
Yeah, but can you do that of your teammates or your opponents?
Sorry?
But you can't tell that of your opponents or your teammates.
Oh, you can't tell what their level is, you mean? Like their bad endorsement level.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't. But I go ahead.
That would be like really good. You could be like endorse people. Okay, this guy was complaining the whole match. Let's give him one complaining point. Or like this guy was just immediately gave up when things didn't go his way. Or like this guy was just a plain asshole in chat. So
I
Can you
think that'd
imagine
be way more
can you imagine you
helpful.
press the N button and it's like instead of shot caller and like good teaming, you get like whiner and like thrower. But yeah, I agree with you, Carrie. Like it feels right now like the endorsement system is almost entirely pointless. Like I remember the first week it came out, everyone was like, "Fam, endorse me, give me shot caller," and now like nobody cares, and it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point between level 4 and level 1 beyond like 2 loot boxes that no one cares about? I think the
Yeah,
reason they haven't. So go ahead, Arge.
like that's the problem. There's no reward, zero reward. Like it's oh, I got 2 loot boxes. Now I have 1,600 loot boxes. It's okay, nice.
Yeah, like there should at least be some incentive, I think, for being higher endorsement. The reason I don't think they've implemented that into queue systems, for example, like some people have suggested, well, why not let people with higher endorsements queue with other people with higher endorsement levels, is because the queue time's already so bad they don't want to do anything to make it longer. But you could have something like I suggested a while back. You could have like more avoid slots if you have higher endorsement level, so you can avoid more shitty people basically, and you know, make your games more.
Reward good behavior. I don't know. Like I think like there are two ways to take it, where it's like either you more harshly punish bad behavior, or you more reward good behavior. And like, but again, like there's only so much Blizzard can do. Like obviously people are just rude. Like the fact that you're anonymous online, you're talking to people you're gonna see again. Like some people would just love to be toxic like that, and that's not gonna. I'm not saying Blizzard can like fix everything, because like part of it just comes down to like human nature. But like doesn't mean they can't do more. You know? Yeah.
Maybe even give those Overwatch League skin points instead of
That's not
the.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if people might try and game that, but I think it's still along the lines might be good. Like just unfriend each other, get in a game, and like endorse.
I unfriend my duo once a day like, after the first game. Endorse each other. I need that.
Yeah, here's 50 tokens for you. But no, you're right. I think a tangible benefit would be nice. Okay, Bame, what would you change about the ladder system?
I'm struggling thinking, like, in general, I really like Overwatch, and I understand why a lot of things are the way they are. You know, being able to reset your MMR if you've got a silver border or something sounded like a good idea, but the more I think about it, I don't know, maybe it might be just as bad. I don't know. I'm really struggling trying to think of a way to improve it. Is that bad? I don't know. I'm
No.
okay with it. I understand it, and I just can't not deal with it, but I just try to adjust myself to what's going on to still try to have fun.
Fair enough. And Blizzard employees everywhere are very happy with you, so that's a plus. Arge?
I would experiment with, for example, hiding your SR, that you just get to know, okay, you're masters, you're a GM, kind of like in League of Legends and Valorant and those games, and because I've seen so many people like go really far into depression just because they go from 4,005 SR to 3,095, or like it's just one game. But like if it was more like, okay, let's say you have like 60% win rate, you play 20 games and you go up 1 rank, and then the next game if you lose, you don't immediately drop back out. So it would take out this pressure, since like the MMR system doesn't take into account that people are emotional, and there's gonna be a lot of pressure and feel like, okay, if I lose this game, I'm gonna drop out for sure. So it's gonna make them play worse and put a higher chance that they're gonna lose the game. So just kind of like hide the exact SR. That I feel like that would just improve the mental health of a lot of players who, and like take the stress out a bit more.
Yeah, and to compensate, you could subdivide the rank. So in StarCraft, for example, you have like Diamond 1, Diamond 2, Diamond 3, and like, you know, Plat 1, Plat 1, Plat 2, Plat 3. So you could have like, just so that Master isn't like 500 SR where you don't know whether they're low Master, high Master. You could have like, yeah, Master 1, Master 2, Master 3, for example. Actually, that reminds me of one thing I didn't even get to ask you guys. How do you feel about private profiles?
I have no issue with them. I have no issue with them except for the fact that by default they are private.
So you'd rather
That's
by
it.
default they be open?
Yes.
Like, I understand why they did it. Like, there's a lot of flaming immediate. Oh, this is a mercy one trick, and this season. Oh my god, he just climbed magically 1000 SR GG and go next. And like, it's just like, you should at least be able, like, back when there was like this part that you could just put your mouse over the player and it showed like, the most played heroes. Like, that's such a good thing for team play and people that want to try their hardest and like flex. There's so many games where it's like, oh, I picked your one trick by accident. I would have given it to you if I knew. But like, the other person doesn't want to go out of his way to like ask for his one trick or main. So it requires even more communication to get those good quality games.
Bane?
I think I'm indifferent. I don't think I care either way. Like, I understand why they're there. I would like, in general, I like more information, so it'd be nice to see that. But I think I understand why people may want to keep it private for good reasons. And that, you know, I'm sure there's other reasons too. But I mean, if I had to pick, I'd say I'd no private accounts, but I'm mostly indifferent.
Yeah, I think I stand with Arrge on this one. Like, I like the hover system purely from a team play perspective of just the basic information of knowing what is my team play, so that I can adapt my pick around it. But I fully understand why they introduce private profiles, because I know a lot of people get flamed just for the, you know, being a one trick on a certain hero, blah blah blah. So I get that. On what I would change about the ladder system, I have a few different areas. I think the best thing I would like to see improved is the general encouragement of team play. So right now, the more you stack, the harder your games get, basically. So if you're like 3 stacking, you're going to get put up against another 3 stack. You go 6 stack, you're going to get put up against a 6 stack. And those games are just harder. So even if you're Plat and you always 6 stack, you're probably playing at like Master solo queue level games or like Diamond solo queue level games. And I think that's fundamentally like antithetical to how we want Overwatch to be. We want Overwatch to be a game where the more you team play, the better it should be, and the more it should reward you. So either like team queues, either having higher prestige for playing in a team, again, like, you know, like just like if there was a team queue, or you could have tournaments, like mini tournaments in the game. So again, in StarCraft, for example, like all the time the game just randomly is generating tournaments that you can enter. So if you could have like a 6 stack tournament, it might encourage people to LFG, get in a group, play in a 6 stack, you know, have a more coordinated experience. Or you have an external matchmaker, which people can go to for try hard and like actually competing properly or whatever. So I would like that to encourage those elements of Overwatch more, because I think right now most people experience like the solo queue or duo queue version of Overwatch, which is suboptimal, let's put it that way. But okay, that is the full lot here, guys. Any other thoughts on anything we discussed or anything you want to bring up?
I was thinking that like you could replace the thing that shows your most played heroes with that you can choose up to 5 heroes that you put in there. That people can say like, I'm fine with playing these heroes. And even if you're a one trick, you could still put these other heroes in there just to make others feel better. You know, you can still keep one and like it's still not gonna like really increase the toxicity. It's just gonna make team play easier.
Yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Anything else to add before we sign off, basically? Anything else you want to touch on that maybe I didn't get to?
SVB, I think you do a very good job of hosting these. I really enjoy them. You do a great job. Keep up the good work.
No, thank
Sure.
you, man. That's too kind, too kind. Thank you to all of you for joining me and giving me your time. That is what I appreciate the most. Like, is you have no reason to do it other than to come and give great content to everyone watching. So thank you guys. I should remind everybody that if you type in exclamation mark before any of these guys' names, so Arrge SINotFound bame, you will get a list of all their socials. Please, 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 please check out all their content. Arrge is your go-to man if you like the bow and arrow. He's streaming on Twitch all the time. Please check this guy out. Full-time streamer. SINotFound, legendary video maker, makes all the stuff for Overwatch League. Please check him out. Check out his YouTube channel. Check out his stream. Bame, check out his Twitch. He streams all the time as well. Awesome ball player still, and we will eventually get you out of bronze in all your other roles as well, Bame. You're gonna get there, my guy.
I stream every day. I stream Overwatch every day, and I stream all my comp games. So you guys tell me why I'm down here, man. Maybe I deserve it.
He's asking for the bottom. That is a dangerous territory, Bame. Let me tell you, you've unleashed the wrath of all the armchair pundits coming into your game, being like, "Did you try pile drivering like this?"
Oh, is it bad? Okay, maybe I don't want that. I don't know.
Well, let's be nice, guys. Be nice to Bame. But yeah, like I said, thank you so much to these guys for joining me. Please check out their socials. Please check out all their stuff. Guys, I'm super grateful. Thank you for your time. I'm going to hit the raid button on Sushi Kitty. Check her out. She's a support player, a GM level, mostly Ana player. Check her out. She's a lovely person. But apart from that, I'm going to sign off, guys. You want to give a quick sign off to Twitch chat?
See you guys.
Thanks, it's fun.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you tomorrow for a stream, not regular time, same time as this. Thank you so much. Enjoy, guys. Catch you later.